5. Early game prio lanes is what it feels like it's all about here. Yike so good at playing when his lanes get ahead.
Yeah, I think KC here, they have a fantastic draft for the early game. They have a winning mid, winning bot. I think Kana will just be chilling on this Cassante. But the question I ask is really, how can Kalist and Targamas show up against Upset and Mickey in a winning matchup? And how can Yike play around that to either get an individual lead or a lead for his bot lane?
I was seeing Kalist opting in towards the on-hit build, so a lot of focus is going to be on him to be that consistent DPS as this game goes on. And look at that Fnatic side, but here we go.
Oscar in and caught out there, was waiting in a bush. Will it take some damage from Kana and from Yike? It's not going to be too much. Oscar in, if he does level a skill, can just dash away, as used it earlier on. Kana gets him down to about 300 HP. Not going to be the easiest early laning phase here for Oscar, because not only does he have to be worried about Kana with that Q3, there's always the possibility Yike looks for an early gank towards that top lane to burn a flash.
Yeah, and Xin Zhao being so much stronger than the Wukong in this early game just means that all the laners of Fnatic have to play a little bit more reserved, a little bit more scared, as already Casey here getting some good trades in the bot side.
You can see both of the AD carries the key focus for these bot lanes. Chip them away, get as much damage down on them as possible. Mickey does have that triumphant roar to heal up a little bit after 7 minions are killed in the lane, but Kalist and Targamas currently have control of the wave state, which means they will hit that level 2 first.
But a relatively decent first level here from Fnatic's bot lane, as they're going to be... Oh, Kana might be in trouble.
That's the Q3, but he might just be dead. He's going to hold the flash. Oscar needs another. Oh! He flashes over it, but Kana can flash away. Oscar on the chase. What cooldowns does he have? Not enough. The answer. Flash for flash in top lane.
Huge trades in the top side. It looks like Oscar Ridden living off the crowd a little bit here. Not quite able to get the kill, but certainly stamping control on this top side.
And during all of that, it's Kana who ends up bleeding a lot of minions, as now Oscar TP's back, and you see it's 7 to 7 minions, but Oscar's gonna catch a huge wave here. And brilliant early game from Oscar.
Also sets up for a perfect freeze. You can see Kana had to go ward because Razor cleared towards this top side, so Kana needs to get this wave shoved in, or else he's in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, with no flash, it's a lot of threat even with this ward. If Razor just walks up, then Kana has to drop minions.
Razor here on his home stage in Madrid. Oscar, just that little kid from Catalonia, proving that he can punch with the best. One of the best top laners in our league is Kana. Razor's on his way. Kana has no flash, but dashes and gets himself to relative safety.
The thing is, though, Oscar Ridden still just has so much control of the wave. Just the fact that you get to show your face is all that you really need to do here. So for Fnatic, that's kind of put a little bit of control on that top lane. And now we get to see what Razor has in store, because he now needs to try and keep himself in check with Yike and make sure that Yike isn't actually interrupting the rest of those lanes on the map.
And Oscar Ridden in this game really feels so pivotal for Fnatic, as it's the one lane that they really can play through and really pressure KC on. And so far, Oscar is playing fantastically to that win condition.
We talked about his evolution over summer. I think Oscar has always been maligned as a top laner for Fnatic, seen as the weak link of the team. And I don't think he has yet stood out of that shadow, but I think he is taking steps to begin to show just what he can do in top.
Yeah, I mean, if you win against Kana, that's a pretty big step.
We got to see it on his picks like the Aurora, where he had a fantastic game. On the Rex side, he's starting to pick up some wins. So I think it really is starting to see maybe the tides turning in favor of him, with Mickey not quite able to land the Pulverize. You can see once more Fnatic getting antsy once their junglers on their side of the map.
Look at the vision coming out from KC, though, knowing that Razok was on the top side. If we actually just do a quick mini-map zoom here, you can see a couple of wards near the blue buff, near the Wolf camp. Razok is going to be spotted through his entire reclear of his jungle.
Yeah, really good vision setup here from KC's bot lane. Makes it really easy for not just them to play, but the entire map of KC, as you can play so much more aggressive. As KC here,
they're going to pop the heal. They get the Winter Spite onto Upset. Mickey with the headbutt back will use their own heal. Takes a piercing arrow through his back, but he'll be okay. Wave not in a good spot at all for Fnatic.
I'm curious if they're just trying to collapse that our top wave and then be able to reset and move people into the position that they want to. There's the reset from the AD carries. Do they go for a lane swap here, or what's the plan? Doesn't look like it.
Looks like they just go back to the bot side, as the wave is still slightly frozen. Targamas is going to look to stay here and hold it, as Mickey is trying to break the wave no matter what, but he can't quite do it.
He can't stay around any longer as well, because there's the risk that Yike just comes and ganks, right? With concussive blows from the Braum, if you're on vision, it's going to be so tricky for that Alistair to escape the situation. They will go on to Targamas, get the knockup, look for the trample stun here as well. They'll land that with a break back from Targamas. He can just back to Yike. Didn't use the stand beside me, jumps back onto Upset, who's just come back into the lane and has already lost half of his HP.
It's a complete disaster for Fnatic. The wave is frozen, and they come back to it just to get chunked and recalled again. Now, Kalist can start to slow push this wave, and it's already a 9 CS lead at 6 minutes, and that's just going to keep growing as Kalist keeps staying ahead in tempo.
And that's why I was kind of surprised to see Mickey stick around for so long. He's not running the unsealed spellbook, so when you look at Targamas, he's able to swap to the TP, he now moves in towards mid lane, and is going to be able to link up with Yike, whereas Mickey, he's got to plot his way along through that mid lane and try and catch up.
Razork does land the smite on the Scuttle Crab there. You could see KC reacting to the fact that they had spent a lot of time around that bot side, realizing where's Razork going to go? Well, he's pathing to top, likely to look for a gank on Kana, who was 1 level behind the Oscarinin at that point.
I think that's the one nice thing there, that Upset and Mickey bought for Razork was that little bit of time wasted from Yike. So therefore Razork now has a slight lead in the jungle, which is especially nice when you're playing a champion like the Wukong. Really just want to get to that level 6, and he's already nearly there.
Yeah, especially with the Dragon on the bottom side, you got options here for Fnatic. Could end up moving over towards that objective and net themselves that first Dragon of the game, or with a minute until that Rift Herald, maybe with the push on bot, they just want to try and reset and look for the Void Groups.
With the perfect information that we have, Dragon is a great play, because you can already see Kalist is pathing towards top side, so you know you're going to have a man advantage down towards this bottom side if you do go for that Drake. However, Fnatic don't know that until Kalist shows on this wave.
Well, it's also the fact that Upset is essentially a full level behind his counterpart in Kalist. Kalist is going to hit to that level 6, so I think just trying to avoid any sort of matchup against the enemy AD carry at this stage is your best bet. And at least Oscarinin has a little bit of a buffer, as he did win out in the early stages. He's got a nice little CS lead for himself, so he might have to tank some of that in favor of Upset in a little bit.
I think even this game as Fnatic, the awkward thing though is that you really want to do Drake right now as Razork, but you have all your top camp spawning. So if you do decide to go for that Drake, then Yike can just invade your top side with the top prio, and suddenly he falls so far behind. So he's kind of left in this checkmate here where he's forced to clear top side, and now Upset is laning against Kana, but Fnatic are not going to get an advantage on any lane.
Yeah, Kana will be really happy about this as well, was losing that 1v1 in the top lane. Now Oscarinin has to deal not only with the piercing arrows, the long-range damage that comes out from the Varus, but whenever he gets close, you've got concussive blows immediately ready to proc on you. You need to be dashing in and out. We're going to play around the grubs right now. Mickey does have a good flank position. Smite comes out from Yike to secure that first grub. Fnatic backing away from it for now. Oscarinin starting to poke his nose down towards the river. Second grub will go over to KC, who continue to control the river. Fnatic are still looking for this fight, but with the recall coming out from Mickey, they just give up all 3 grubs.
Yeah, you can see the push on bottom lane meant that Kana was able to roam up towards that mid lane.
Kalist headbutted across the wall. Looking for the pulverize here from Mickey. Is Razork going to flash forward? Has the Cyclone. It's a Tempest for Kalist, but the heal comes out and he uses the barrier. Piercing arrow through Razork. They dive back in. The heroes enter from Bobby, trying to save the fight, but he's interrupted. Yike goes low. Oscar takes him. Mickey trying to 1v1 the enemy AD carry, being just under his knees. The public execution is delayed. Oscarinin can't find his mark.
Oscar holds the public execution for too long, and Kalist gets out with 2 kills for KC.
Centimeters, millimeters separated Oscarinin from that play, but Case turn it back. And it starts with a nice play here from Mickey's thinking, hey, we can isolate Kalist. Razork flashing over to guarantee that he can get into range, but with Yike in the area able to come up, and Oscarinin not quite able to get into range fast enough thanks to that knockback from the Zinzao ultimate. It means that then they're able to escape.
But Oscarinin holds his ulti here for so long, he decides to instead kill Yike first, which leads to him being a little bit too late.
Very, very good. Keep it up.
And KC are happy. I think Oscar is not happy, although I couldn't really hear him.
It's a game of inches. It's a game of millimeters in a case like this, and Oscar just short. And if you got that kill, imagine.
I think Mickey would have survived. This
Mickey survived.
Really changes the whole outcome.
It really does. You probably get to set up around the dragon first. You also get about a 700 gold lead on your Ambessa, who is one of your key points for this composition to work.
But it also means that Oscar in that level advantage starting to diminish for him. He doesn't really have as much control as he did in that top side. Blade of the Rune King, very close to being completed for Kalista, and he's just getting so much help from KC. Everyone on this bottom side looking for a potential dive.
It's again KC that have way better lane assignments, as Targamas gets pretty chunked, but it's still a huge advantage for KC as they keep racking on these plates. And it's Kana just chilling 1v1 against Upset without Oscar being really able to extend this lead whatsoever.
Okay, let's take a breath, let's take a moment, let's evaluate what's happened so far. We're 11 minutes into the game, and we knew KC had the lanes that on paper should be winning. Have they been? Top lane has gone towards Oscar winning with that great freeze early game. Bot lane has gone very handily towards Kalista and Targamas. Mid and jungle relatively even, 100, 200 gold here or there. This is kind of what we expected when we were in the draft. I think the question is, can Fnatic begin soon to turn the tides in their favor?
I think it was because Fnatic had kept it so much within touching distance and then over-forced plays, which then gave KC those angles to come back into it. Now, you can look at the top of your screen and see, hey, it's only a 600 gold lead. It's not a massive amount. It is not insurmountable for Fnatic. It's just that you're giving a lot of control to KC in these early stages when it comes specifically towards objectives.
Yeah, for me the worry isn't so much about the gold lead. It's about when you're able to get both Dragon and 3 grubs in the early game. It just speaks volumes to how much control you have all over the map. And it's really hard for Fnatic to leverage that control back if they don't get back up in tempo and they can actually have the lane assignments that they need, because I'm just seeing Oscar laning 1v2 repeatedly, and maybe now with Kalista being forced to base here, Oscar can push out, Upset can base, they can finally get the lane assignments they want.
Yeah, Oscar into Kana is what Fnatic want, and not something we really would have expected coming into this series. Kana, the golden boy of KC in many ways. This guy so consistently getting leads in that top lane. Oscar struggling to do the same for his team, partly because the team hasn't played around him too much, but also partly because when it does come down to those minutiae, those tiny things that really affect the game, sometimes he just misses out.
Yeah, I mean, Kana is a monster, but in this game, he's really been punished by Oscar, and I think now with Kalista basing, Oscar got another 2 plates. He finally got that 700 gold lead you were talking about earlier, Medic, and Upset is actually silently kind of coming back into this game. It's only a 6 CS lead as now Mickey goes in on Targamas.
Targamas does have 6 heroes, Entrance coming down as well. The Glacial Fissure won't do anything, a schism in KC as Targamas is split from the team and Fnatic pounce.
Great pick from Fnatic, and this was something that we saw from KC in their series against Vitality, where Vitality were just finding these moments where Targamas separate himself a little bit too much for the team, and they were able to punish, and now Fnatic with Mickey are able to find that pick once more.
And you can see the power of the Galio. He's always able to move first and support the team, and despite the language barrier, it doesn't matter. He just pressed the ulti and he's there. Very fast, muy rápido.
Muy rápido indeed. As we see Yike actually stepping around here, but he doesn't realize he's surrounded! Yike, there are 3 people who are preying on your demise. Yike survived so long, shielded as well by Kana! KC collapsed perfectly. The TP behind by Cody as he looks for a bit more movement. A 3-man torn after diving in, that's 2 down! KC lose 2, Kana trying to escape, goes all out, dives back on the Upset, but he's knocked in the air and taken out! A double for Oscar in Madrid!
And just like that, Fnatic punch back against KC. It looked dire, but Upset comes in, and with the help of his team, turns it back around.
And Fnatic are willing to pull the trigger and then double down on it. Even after Razor dies, Upset, we keep fighting. Poby TP's in, they're able to clean it up, and finally, some life of air for Fnatic here in the series.
And I think you've hit it there, nail on the head, Jack. It's the fact that Fnatic are still willing to go for these plays. The first time around it doesn't work out, but they are constantly fishing for picks, for plays, bringing multiple members to these fights, and just like that, now swinging the gold lead in their favor. Fnatic looking to keep the pressure onto KC.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to give so much credit to Mickey, because he's a player that's just always willing to go in. He doesn't care if he dies. Very like Hylissang-esque, just without so much int, and just the consistency is there, and it's such a pleasure to watch when he's on point.
There have been many times across his career that Mickey has had as much int as Hylissang. At the moment, it's not one of those cases. He is a stalwart of European League of Legends, so often seen as the best support in the league. Over 2025, I think he has fallen down from that a smidge, only because of players like Alvaro who have begun to take that spot. Targum is challenging for it at times as well. KC, though, will use this tempo opportunity to take their third objective of the game. Public execution!
Oh my god!
Oscar He's taking names!
He said he was going to do a bomba, and that's what he's doing. 4-0 on the Ambessa. He's taking over.
And now it's Razor who can move down on towards this bottom side of the map as well if he wants to. Kana might be a little overextended. KC, we're setting up for that dive on the top side. Mickey was just looking to cover, and Oscar Rinnan stands up and is going to get so much off the back of this.
And the question for KC is a question we asked for Fnatic only 5 minutes ago. It was, can Fnatic begin to rein the game back into their control? Now you look on the other side and it's, can Karmine Corp stop this bleeding? They're 1.3k behind. They've lost their first neutral objective of the game in that dragon that Fnatic just took. And Fnatic have a composition designed to die. If you're KC, you need to survive through that initial punch. You need to survive the first haymaker. The question is, can they do so?
I mean, if Fnatic could pull this off, it instills so much confidence into them, because they're winning with Oscar Rinnan being the main carry. This was a team that felt like if Upset wasn't ahead, if he wasn't the one leading the team, they couldn't do anything. So now with Upset having more of a passive role, just being that follow-up, if they can win like that, suddenly this team has so much more potential.
Yeah, there are still tools for KC to again find their way back into this game. Rift Herald in the pocket of Yike, he can try and use that to crack open some towers, get some much needed resources, especially into people like Kalist. And while Oscar Rinnan did have that good play against Vladdy, you're still having this Orianna getting into a decent spot, and she's gone for a pretty tanky build. So the ability for Fnatic to kind of go for that one-shot dive potential isn't going to be as easy on towards the Orianna. So I think for KC, moments like this where Vladdy can get some alone time with the tower still, thanks to the control KC have on the top side, will help them get some gold into the carries.
Yeah, it's important to note that KC's mid and bot lane are still quite far ahead, and that their overall team comp is really, really great at receiving this initial engage from Fnatic. But what we need to see from KC is that they're the ones that are holding the vision first, so that's much easier and they don't get caught off guard, because if one member gets caught out, they're dead just like that.
And I think that member is going to be Kalist. I think there is just a bounty on his head every single team fight here. It is flashes from Mickey. It is whatever this monkey can do with that pole to try and get into position of this AD carry. Everything is going to be looking for the Frenchman's head.
And we have seen two iterations of Kalist, I feel like. One Kalist that is so good at playing on that knife's edge, baiting out all the cooldowns, and just making a composition like Fnatic's so difficult to play. But then we've also seen Kalist that's way too cocky, way too overeager, and he's just the first person to die in a team fight. So we really need to see the best version of him today if he's going to be the one to show up and carry this game.
He's where the damage comes from. If Oscar is the protagonist for this crowd here in Madrid, Kalist is the villain. He is the guy that they do not want to see surviving for more than a nanosecond in all of these fights. Fnatic gain control of the bot side. They'll take that bot tier 1. They also have Povey pushing in the top side to get more pressure on the map.
And that's the thing, KC look a little scared, if I'm going to be honest, lads. They end up over-indexing onto that bottom side to think, hang on, we need 4 members to defend. There's too many KC members on the bottom side. Povey pushes in top. You get the push in mid from Upset. These free resets with 1:30 now until that dragon. I think KC are starting to feel the pressure a little bit from Fnatic themselves.
And are you going to feel pressure when you're playing against Fnatic and you're looking to qualify for Worlds? Because this team doesn't miss. 12 of 14 possible Worlds appearances over the last few years. They missed it in 2013 and in 2016. Those are the 2 times that they haven't managed to make it. The question is, can they do that? Can they continue that streak? Or will KC, claiming their first ever spot at Worlds, be the ones to deny them?
Yeah, Fnatic's just such an incredible historic org, and I think there's really two main problems that KC are facing. One is that wherever Oscar goes, it feels like they just need to concede. But the second is that when you're playing this sort of composition that's great at receiving engage, it typically lacks that much hard engage of its own. It's hard for KC now to be the ones to find that pick and find someone off guard because they don't have those tools available.
And I think Fnatic have identified that well, where instead of going for these big all-out engages, they're kind of playing this hit-and-run warfare, trying to get these towers, trying to pick away little bits of damage, seeing what they can do. But now KC, this is what we were talking about, the ability to use this Rift Herald, find their timing window on the map. And with 20 seconds until the Dragon now, Fnatic will have time to rally, but it's KC who can get control over mid and try and get into River first.
We can see how KC feel that they're so forced to group here. Kana even dropping all of this top wave. He's going to be able to catch a little bit of it, but now it's actually Oscarinen going to be able to keep pushing him in, always have moved towards this mid lane, and it's going to be so difficult for KC to ever contest this Dragon.
Yeah, you see how hard it is. They're being gated off ever entering through this bot side River. Just to correct myself, it was 2012, the Worlds that Fnatic missed, not 2013, as they start up the Dragon here. We'll only be their second of the game. If you're KC, I think you just accept it.
Yeah.
Who cares? We're still 10 minutes away from a Soul. It won't be an Ocean Soul for Fnatic, which, when you're playing a one-punch comp like this, doesn't matter as much.
And let's be real, it hasn't been Dragons that have been the kryptonite of Fnatic. It's been the Otacon. So there is still where Fnatic have to overcome some hurdles to show that they really have kind of grown up over the course of the last couple of weeks. Because that has been the objective that I am keenly keeping my eyes on coming into this one.
Yeah, and we got a little pause, unfortunately. But it's 2 items across the board for KC's carries here. Definitely a good choice to drop that Dragon, as now they're much, much stronger. Hopefully this pause won't be too long.
I think the important thing when we look at those 2 items is the Orianna has Seraph's Rod of Ages, not high damage. They are survivability and she will survive a long time, but it doesn't give you a huge amount of DPS. And the Varus has Ginsu's Blade of the Ruin King, which is good damage if you can ramp up a little bit. If you don't have actual time to get those auto attacks down, you just die before you can actually put too much damage down. The piercing arrows will still do work, but it's not going to be as powerful as something like a Spear Eclipse that we see on Oscarinen.
I think it's also just for guys like Kana, trying to protect Kalista in these fights is so difficult. There are so many bloody threats on Fnatic to try and keep off him. Like, Oscarinen's now in a great spot, the Triforce on the Wukong, Upset being able to shotgun himself into the back line. Trying to deal with all of these threats is going to be difficult. And sure, you'll have Targamas to try and help out, but as you say, I think for KC, protecting the President might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, I think it really depends if Oscar can get this 3rd item. If he can get that Death Stance, I believe he's building into, I mean, it's so difficult to kill him, especially as you pointed out, Medic, with Vladdy going this kind of low damage, magic damage build. It's a lot of physical damage on the side of KC, so once he has that armor completed, it's hard for me to picture a fight that Fnatic lose unless a big misplay happens.
The only thing I'm really looking for Oscar is it more valuable to get your Mercury Treads first and then finish the Death Dance for that little bit more tenacity when you dive in? Because you know you're going to be CC'd, you know the Braum's going to be sitting there. Do you need to get out of that stun a little bit quicker, or is Death Dance just too much of a power spike for what is a fight that's probably a while away? We don't usually see Otacon, or we have a Drake next to it, so you can do both in one fell swoop.
I think in my mind, the way the fights will end up playing out is that Oscarinen ends up getting stunned as the entirety of KC is running away from Hobie following up, right? So I think things like the Death Dance, when he's going to be taking a lot of fire over the top of it, is probably going to be more valuable, as he's able to just have Hobie to keep him alive as everyone's retreating away in the stun. So maybe that can be enough, but either way, I think Fnatic have been doing a good job lanes. Like, I think this has actually been the most impressive part, is that Fnatic aren't, you know, over-indexing into certain plays. They're letting Oscarinen be strong in the side lane with Hobie, using Mickey as this connector with Razork to just lend them that strength. And KC have been forced to over-index into these side lanes to try and keep them safe, which is opening up Fnatic to get more control.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, Rob, that you might see KC constantly grouping and feel like it's a mistake. You see Kana now opening up towards his team, but it's because Fnatic are playing in such a way that they're kind of forced to do this if they want any semblance of control. Because now, when Oscar finally pushes out this top side here, then Kana is going to be forced to catch that, and then Fnatic will get full control. So if KC don't use this opportunity that they have before Oscar is pushed out, they don't get any semblance of control. But they're just full sending it, and they already started out like that.
Wow, they're doing it really quickly as well. Kalist damage absolutely off the charts here on the Otacon. He's currently soloing it. It's a little bit of vision for Fnatic just outside of the pit. Mickey stepping forward takes a chunk from Vladdy, Oscar in and going back, probably has that Death Dance, going to TP down towards the bottom side. Fnatic are looking for the fight as KC begin to retreat. Kalista half HP, flash away from Vladdy, Mickey's engaged, doesn't quite hit the mark, and now Mickey needs to run, flashes himself, shockwave down. A huge ultimate down as Oscar in has to dash away. The engage from Razor, he finds all of Karmine Corp, and the walls come tumbling down around them. Already they've lost Targamas, they have to retreat. No flash on Kalista. No flash on Vladdy. Yike and Kana might look for the steal. Oscar in still trying to keep them at bay. Fnatic will claim the Atakan after an amazing engage from Razor.
And Razork is home. He finds them all. He secures them, the Atakan. What a brilliant engage. I want to see it again.
Fnatic are coming alive in mid. You say it was just perfect. Mickey ends up taking so much focus from Vladdy's, the rest of KC trying to move down, but this buys Fnatic the space they need to come through. And Razork immediately, we called it onto Kalista, and that's exactly what Razork does. The follow-up from Poby, Fnatic are able to hit onto everyone and buy the space they need to secure the Atakan.
And you talked about it, Medic. Kalista needs to ramp up in team fights. I think Kalista did one auto attack there, maybe two. It's so difficult to play this Varus, and now you have to play the next 5 minutes without flash. It's a tough game for KC.
Both of their carries do not have the luxury of that summoner spell. They cannot just get themselves out of a precarious situation. And you look on the other side, Oscar has flash, Poby has flash, Upset has flash. The ability to die for Fnatic, because they have so many tools to do it, is still very much there.
And you have a minute until Baron.
Yep.
So both those flashes going to be down, and if Fnatic want to, they can try and set up for some of these objectives. But again, it's the sideline play, and Kana's overextended.
Yeah, Oscar is just going to chunk him out. Razor coming in as well for that extra damage. Pathmaker in from Kana. Does have the flash and will use it to get away. The public execution chases him. Yike is here to try and respond. Redemption out. Kana trading in. The cyclone from Razor with TP coming in, as well as Poby looks to join the fray. Oscar in flashing forward onto Yike, but in the end, the fight will dematerialize.
A little bit disjointed there for Fnatic. Felt like Oscar didn't really want to go in at first and ends up using the public execution. They end up TPing Poby in. So a bit of a mistake there. They're going to now be forced to all recall, catch waves, and be a little bit behind in tempo. And crucially, Oscar in not having flash for this next team fight.
We will see if Fnatic do decide that they want to start up that Baron. It is their game. They are controlling it right now. KC still have tools in their toolkit. They have Pick with the Chain of Corruption. They have Yike who can dive in, Crescent Guard, and mitigate a huge amount of damage that comes out from Fnatic. But currently, that one punch, that haymaker we talked about from draft, is landing every single time for Fnatic.
I think starting Nash, though, is very risky for Fnatic. Because if you fail that one turn and KC can kite back, as Kana, I don't think an Alistar Galio can really kill this Cassandra, even though he's not the strongest. But they are going to help Poby here push out a little bit, and in return, Kate up towards that Nash. As Razork helps Upset push in mid, and I really just think KC's are going to be forced to drop this Drake. Going to be hard to contest, still no flashes on Kalista and Vladdy.
Yeah, it feels like KC are basically trying to pull Fnatic into this Baron area and say, hang on, Dragon's in just a couple second time. Fnatic should be in a position for it, but maybe we can try and force them to double check this Dragon before it kicks off, and it's lending Vladdy space in this top half of the map. It looks like Fnatic not going to take the bait. Instead, they're going to make sure they do their due diligence, push out this mid wave, and now move over towards the objective.
And it's interesting because we have talked a lot through a Fnatic lens, because they've been in the lead. They are definitely in the advantage in this game. They control the pace. But if you take Oscar in and out of that, I look down and I see blue, 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 and a little bit of red at the bottom. If it is a 4v4 and Oscar in isn't with Fnatic, KC still have a real shot at winning these fights. They just need to find the moment where Oscar in isn't there.
There's a little blue wall for KC, but that red dot is hard to ignore in the top lane.
I think it's just also the execution for Fnatic is just so much easier, right? Like, we saw it there in the last engagement where Kalista went, I got to peace out. I can't be a part of this at all. And as long as Fnatic can continue to do that with flashes on Razork, flashes on Mickey, it becomes very difficult for Kalista to play the game. And it's honestly something we saw in game number 1 from Vitality as well, where their Morgana was just putting pools down in front of the Kalista with the Rileys and saying, right, try and play the game. You don't have any way of getting around this. And it feels like Fnatic have gone, okay, now we want to try and keep Kalista out of this game once more.
I do agree with you, Rob, but I also want to offer some opposition, because in that Vitality game, it was very easy for them to make Kalist's life miserable. They just kind of had to spam their spells, and he got slowed down and couldn't move. But in this game, if Oscar messes up, misses the ulti, Razork doesn't quite reach, gets ulted, there are things that could easily go wrong, in which case they don't get that follow-up, and they just collapse and fall under the pressure of Braum and Saul CCing them all.
That makes a lot of sense. The question is, will they manage to find that sort of fight? Will Karmine Corp actually be able to pull those tools out of Fnatic without getting caught themselves? Because we saw in the last fight, it looked a little bit like Oscar was caught around that Otacon. He was the one retreating, and then Razork used his tools to get onto that backline and really open up the battle. Feels like it's a game of vision, as it always is when you get to late game team fights in League of Legends. If Mickey can find a flank, if Razork can find a flank, the game gets infinitely harder for Karmine Corp.
And I think for Fnatic, they'd love to be able to try and take down this mid lane turret, but it's really been a thorn in their side. Kalist has been able to sit underneath it, very easily clear out the waves underneath the turret, and KC have done a good job protecting their flanks with the vision as Fnatic try and set it up.
Still no flash here. Kalist is moving, but he might find Razork.
Yeah, Razork's looking to the chase onto Kalist. Oscar does have that public execution, won't chase any further, doesn't have a flash of his own. Healing up a little bit as he just clears out the wave there. Kana unable really to bash heads with this Ambassador, who is so accelerated in this game.
And I want to add on to what you said, Rob, because it might feel weird that KC is still able to hold this mid tower, but it speaks to some of the weakness of Fnatic's comp. They have incredible all-in, engage, and follow-up, but they have very limited range. They have very limited siege. So if they're not able to actually find that one person out, it's hard for them to really progress this game other than through dragons.
And we're at that point where the game for Karmine Corp feels like it needs to progress. You have a Drake up in 2 minutes. There's a Baron available for you too. You're at 3 items on your AD carry, 3 items on Vladdy. Building that Lightning Jewel has it on his way to a little bit more penetration. But if you're KC and this is the game state for the next 2 minutes, you're then looking at Soul and Baron, and you don't really want to take that fight. Razork can just dash over the wall with his decoy. Just vying over vision. Oscar in and left to his own devices in the bot lane. Kana had a small window there where he could walk up, but no longer can. Has to go and answer that wave that begins to crash on the bot tier 2.
And I'm so happy that we see Upset going for this AP Kai'Sa build. You can see now that it leverages him so much more opportunities with this blue buff. He can actually be the one poking KC out and actually applying so much pressure, and it just makes this champion go from very one-dimensional, only diving in, to actually being able to play from range, play it a little bit slow, and the scaling as well. Once Upset gets this 4th and, or 5th and 6th item, he's going to be completely unleashed.
Just a minute now until that dragon comes up, and it feels like the resets start as they come through are just going to be tough. I mean, Poby now going to be able to finish off that Zhonya's Hourglass, making him incredibly potent on these dives. Follow up for the likes of Razork. It has to be protect the backline of KC. And with KC at least matching the resets, they should be able to get control over this mid wave, push out through that mid, move in towards this bot side river, and try and push Fnatic back, because the worst possible case for KC here is Fnatic having full control of this river.
Trying to walk into darkness, walk into fog of war when you are the team that needs to be slightly on the back foot when a fight begins is so tricky. Kalist realizing that he is enemy number 1, is building towards the Jack show here on the Varus, has the Terminus, which partners so well with it, that ability to get the extra resistances through stacking up those auto attacks. A Seekers for Upset could be pivotal in the next fight. Kana's the one to step in here. Poby's pushing through top. Someone's going to have to answer that wave. Targa, Vladdy, and Kana all have TPs, but I don't think it will be the Braum on wave clearing duty. It's going to be either Vladdy or Kana. TP coming out from Poby. The Drake has spawned. Fnatic might look to just get the mid lane prio, sacrifice a little bit of pressure around the dragon to take that tier 1 that still stymies them, stops them from pushing as far as they'd like.
KC are aware that Razork is somewhere on this bottom side of the map because they spot him out with a ward, but they don't know exactly where he is. But
Oscar into Yike, that's a chunk. Oscar, public execution, stops the knockback, but now he's caught out. Targamas looking for the chase. Mickey with the heal to try and heal him up. Oscar still has the flash, but he's stunned. The Glacial Fisher follows him. And Vladdy finds his man, the Ocean Drake, secured by Fnatic. KC Judas called for the Baron immediately. Target's going to base, but he still has that teleport.
And that's the thing, KC can still move over towards the objective with the ability to come back in towards the play. Fnatic now need to find a way into the pit. Razork has flash in Madrid. Can he be the hero for Fnatic here?
This is where the game will be decided, folks. As KC taking this Nash, let's see if Razor can do it.
Little bit of vision next to where Razor is, but none in that bush. Path maker from Kana finds two. Kobe and Mickey kept at bay. Razor trying to get into the pit, but they do not know how low this Baron currently is. Razor, the auto goes onto him. The knock-up as well, and Kana dives in. The Baron speaks French, it seems. Kana separates Razor from his ability to get into the Baron as KC secure the objective.
And the villain wasn't Kalist, it was Kana who denies Razork from entering the pit. He sacrifices his own life, and KC finally gets so much back in this game, but they're still up against an Ocean Soul.
And after praising Oscarinen so much in this game, it's a mistake from him that ends up costing Fnatic the most. He thought he could find that play onto Vladdy, but KC were in a better position. And now with that Baron, KC can do some serious damage to the standing gold of the map.
And the question is, can they? I think, right? Because you have 4 Baron buffs. You don't really have split push pressure. Your side lane threat isn't there. You are going to need to group up, but we already only have 2 minutes left on that Baron buff. And Fnatic have enough wave play to defend. So is it just a delay, or can we see KC actually using those Baron buffed minions to find some more pressure? There's no tier 1s for them to get. They need to start stepping further into Fnatic's side of the map, which is risky when you have the ability to re-engage from Fnatic.
I think it's difficult. You can see KC, they're trying to push out sides, but wherever they go, Oscar's in the opposite, pushing them in. And now Kana will be forced to catch this top wave, and it kind of just resets this whole tempo as Vladdy is too scared to try to push in bot. And I think this Nash, it buys them time, it buys them opportunity, but it doesn't give them anything more than that.
And now, at least it should be a little bit of time before any of these objectives spawn, but that's the TP behind. They want to try and go for the play here. Vladdy looking for Oscarinen.
Oscarinen caught out a little bit here. Kalist beginning to collapse. Perfect execution on Targamas. Oscarinen able to dash away, still has his flash. Uses the movement speed from the Scuttle Crab as well. And extricates himself from what could have been an eviscerating situation.
Still, I love the plays from KC, trying to find these moments where Fnatic are overextended. It was picks in the early game that got Fnatic into this position, and now it's KC who want to try and turn it back. 50 seconds on the Baron, though. It looks like this will be the last little push that KC can do.
I gotta say, Oscar into a bit on the mid lane, but he redeemed himself with that one, because that was a beautiful escape from him, and I love the confidence he's playing with today. Even after a mistake, he's still willing to go deep, to push out, and to make plays like that. He feels like a different player today.
Take a breath, guys. I have a sneaking suspicion, an inkling of a feeling that we're going to be waiting about 2.5 minutes. And we're going to have an Elder fight decide game 1 of this best of 5. With not only worlds, but pride on the line. You can feel how much this means not only to the teams, but also to the Blue Wall and the Fnatic Dragons sitting in those stands. A game 1 win when the crowd is such a motivating factor can really skew the way a series goes. It can really affect not only your personal motivation to win the series, but also just how it feels to get a kill, how it feels to win the next game, to take the battle back to your opponents.
And especially when it's such a close game, because you feel in a game like this that the better team will be the one to win. And when you're the one, if you lose this game as Fnatic, you have Soul, you have Oscar winning. There's so many reasons for you to doubt yourself coming into the next game. And the same for KC. They had a great laning phase. Kalist got strong. It's just hard. It's really hard when you lose a game like this to keep being confident. So it's a huge, huge game for whoever can take it.
The items are starting to come in across the board here. Fnatic, 2 Zhonyas on both carries, going to make them very difficult to try and deal with. But honestly, I'm starting to look at guys like Vladdy. If he can finish that Rabadon's death cap, that is going to be such a massive upgrade for his damage in this next team fight, and may be the difference maker as to whether KC can blow up some of the members of Fnatic.
Vladdy is pumping. Like, you look at the enemy team as well, I do not see many true tanks. I see a Galio, who is very tanky. I see an Alistair, who has a Redemption and a Kindle Gem and a Cloth Armor. I'm sorry, a little raggedy bit of cloth is not going to protect you when that shockwave comes out. It is going to be really important to watch where that ball goes, where Vladdy is able to find his marks, because so often we have seen games decided by a shockwave. We named them 3,000 elo shockwaves, right? They exist. For Fnatic, if they can find presence around this dragon, which they are doing currently, getting that vision in, that is their key objective. Set up, get towards the Elder, look to pull KC into darkness, into fog of war.
But that's the problem, trying to set yourself up as KC in this area of the map is so dangerous. Fnatic can be lurking in any of these bushes, and KC, they poke their noses in, they don't get bitten, they want to try and get a little bit more.
It's so difficult, they have to play this slow. Razork with a fantastic flank.
Poby stepping forward, Razor's coming in as well. Poby goes to the engagements of Vladdy, Killer Instinct in as well. But Fnatic is separated. Vladdy down low, gets the redemption. Perfect execution by the Oriana, and the shockwave does nothing. A hero's entrance from the potent Poby as he dives in towards that backline. Karna forced away past Faker will find him a small degree of safety, but Poby's having none of it. They chase him down. Oscar in flashing for it. Yike trying to get the slow onto him. Another taunt onto Targamas down towards the bottom side. Targamas goes down. KC only have 2 left alive.
Fnatic remember spring, and they say that will not happen again as they march towards the Nexus and take game number 1.
Vamos Fnatic! It's Oscar and Razork that keep finding the engages back to back to back that will secure Fnatic game number 1.
A superlative display from the Spanish squadron for Fnatic. Oscar and Razork on their backs. This was built. Fnatic at the top of the mountain. KC beginning to fall down.
What a game.
Incredible stuff from Fnatic. It looked like KC got off to a decent start, but it was Oscar Rinnan controlling that top side of the map that enabled Fnatic to take over in game number 1.
What a game 1 we had though, guys. I said it would be decided around the Elder. We didn't get the fight at the Drake, but we got it nearby. The bot lane battles continue as we start to get ourselves ready for game 2. You see the players taking the stairs back down. They need a moment, they need a breath. Yeah, a couple more minutes than usual before we get into that next game, because we do want to give the players that little bit more time. I see Shock standing by. Shock's take it away.
Yes, I've got Mickey here with me. Mickey, I thought you lost it. I really, well, not you personally, but you as a team. Yeah, what happened and how did you pull it back?
I mean, our comp was just a bit more OP than theirs, and I think we played some fights quite well. We got some good flanks. So, yeah, overall, it was just smooth sailing from the draft.
You usually get a lot of attention in that bot lane, right? But now, does it have something to do with the fact we are in España, that Razork was up in the top lane helping Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, both of them had like a big buff for sure from the Sprout, and let's hope we keep it up for the rest of the series.
Yeah, for sure. Muchas gracias. Go ahead, Mickey, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Shocks, and welcome back to the Marriott Bonvoy. Anna, it is caliente in Madrid already. Fnatic strike first. And you know what? We were talking about vibes. I absolutely adore the confidence from Mickey in that last interview.
All of them look fantastic here, and honestly, we talk Fnatic. I don't care about that. Let me tell you what I do care about. Oscar, what a performance.
Jesus.
Oscar haters, they're starving. They got nothing to eat right now. This guy has been ramping up in playoffs. We had doubts from the summer regular season, and we had reason to doubt. But what we've seen from playoffs to this game specifically, where against GX, yeah, okay, you're up against
Safe as well. I think you're going to be in a fantastic spot here for Fnatic.
Let's get ready to rumble for game 2 of this best of 5. A world's spot on the line. No planes to go through, straight through to that Swiss stage, taking on the best teams from all around the globe. We jump onto Summoners with KC fighting back from a 1-game deficit. They've done it many times before. Tons of people predicted a 3-1 to KC. We're not going to be game 1 Andes. But Fnatic will be incredibly bolstered by how game 1 ended up happening. There were some stumbles, there were some missteps, but in the end, on the back of Oscar and Razork, they were able to take the win. This game, more dependent, I would say, on Upset and Poby. Obviously, Razork's early game impact on this Vi can do a lot of work, but I don't expect Oscar Rinnan on the Sion to be doing 40% of his team's damage.
They're doing the Viper swap. Oscar put the ward in the top lane middle bush. Sion is basing already, and Upset is going top. Medic, you're a genius.
Only if it works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I want no part of this. Let's see exactly how it works. So the Viper swap, in case you haven't seen it, is something that HLE are doing quite a lot in the LCK, or at least a few times. You swap your AD carry to the top side, they can solo lane into whatever top laner's up there, and then your support goes down with usually something like a Sion, a Cho'Gath, something that can survive having to go into melee range against a ranged champion. And that's exactly what they're doing. So often Mickey will swap around the 3-minute mark when that protection falls off.
Yeah, the whole reason you want to do this is to circumvent the lane swap mechanic that Riot put in. That makes it so that if you go 2-man top, you get instantly one-shot by towers, you don't get any gold from minions, and it's just unplayable pretty much. So now, with Seri just able to farm up the first few levels, Taric will recall as soon as he can, join her up, and then they can start bullying the Rumble, while Sion will just be completely fine laning 1v2 against this Ezreal Leona.
And it was nice while it lasted, lad. We'll always find a way to get some sort of weird shenanigans in when it comes towards lane swaps, but I think either way, and it's a nice job from Fnatic, right? Kind of not going to be able to punish the matchup as much as he was like to, and Oscar ain't going to be fine.
Yeah, they'll be happy enough with this. Obviously, Oscar in that 1v1 would struggle a little bit into Karna as well in the early game. The damage from the Rumble can be pretty difficult for the Sion to deal with. We see Mickey backing now. He knows it's going to take him about 30 seconds to get towards that top lane. So set your recall, run back towards top, and go for the lane swap. It's Unsealed Spellbook on Mickey and on Targamas this game, so expect to see those supports roaming around the map. Targamas very close to the minions here as they die, but I think he gets out of range in time.
Yeah.
Looking for a gank onto Poby, who does have the push in mid. Vladdy going forward, trying to stack up that Q3. Poby hits the threaded volley. Unraveled Earth comes out, and they're not able to find the connection there for KC.
And this is great for Oscar. He's just able now to farm 1v1 as Targamas runs all the way from bot lane here to top lane. Overall, I think you really have to give props to Fnatic for this macro. Like, it's a great idea to have this scaling ADC, this scaling top, get them both out of lane, and it's paying dividends thus far.
Also, the fact that that play in the mid lane didn't end up working out for Vladdy means that he takes a good chunk of damage off of Poby trying to set up that play for Targamas, and now he's actually in a position where he can keep this in a decent spot. But Yike on this bottom side, Oscar in takes a step too far.
Oscar still has flash. He's going to get chunked out though with the flag and dragged down to 200 HP. Kalista looking for the auto attacks. Oscar's flashes at the final moment. Yike almost dies to the tower shot, but Oscar just able to survive. Razork looking towards this top side as Targamas and Karna are about to feel the fists of fury. Razork goes in, Targa pops the heal, Dazzle doesn't connect. But that is the flash out from Targamas.
Flash for flash, Fnatic versus KC here. As you can see, Fnatic having full control of this top side. But I think even still, you're pretty happy as Fnatic. It's Kana that's having to lane against this Seri. Taric here struggling with Targamas trying to give some sort of support, while Oscar can now TP back, push this lane out, and be completely fine.
I think if you're KC, like, it's not the best start, but you're still pretty happy with how the draft went overall.
Yeah.
Kalist getting this Ezreal, something he is so comfortable on and has had so much impact on this year, is such a good move for them as a team.
It's a great pick for him because it synergizes perfectly with his playstyle. He loves to play cocky, loves to play in your face, so he really excels on an ADC like this that has that safety, that has that range to allow him to do it.
I think also just giving him the control, as you say, in team fights to peel is going to be fantastic, because so much of Fnatic is going to be trying to lock him down, and if he can arcane shift away, it makes it very difficult for Poby to try and follow up with some of the seismic shoves and try and trade in any way effective in these team fights. So I really like the addition from KC, and we're going to have to see if they're able to keep him in a position where he can be that carry that KC need.
The biggest shame, though, is that when you're playing this Ezreal into the Seri, you really want to get a lead, because after Seri gets level 6, it's really easy for her to always just be pressuring you with the all-in, with all the damage she gets from that ultimate. And she has gotten to level 6 with the CS. I mean, she's not quite level 6 yet, but unless I'm really jinxing it here, she's gonna get to level 6 with a CS lead.
Yeah, Upset will be so happy with this early game, with how things have gone. Has that lethal tempo, getting to stack it up in the middle of fights. Pretty even, though, for the early portions of this match. You can see the lead from Kano is negated by the lead for Upset, and a small lead, a smidge of a lead there for Poby in the mid lane, who has been able to push Vladdy back. But Vladdy's done a pretty good job after getting chunked out in the early game of actually keeping that CS pretty even. Only 2 CS down right now.
Let's see if you can try and use some of the pressure from the lane swaps for KC to try and set up for some of these objectives. It looks like they're going to go for a swap here with Kalist, try and match him up in towards this top side. As Upset has only just got into that top side, especially with Kana now TPing to the bottom lane. Basically, KC are trying to hard force the even lanes now, as Mickey entering towards mid, but just scare off Vladdy.
I think one of the things that we haven't touched upon, which is also really important, is this Vi pick.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing this Vi, it's really crucial that you're able to get to level 6 before anything really goes wrong. And I think that further hints at how good this lane swap was, that this Vi never had to cover for a dive, never had to worry about an invade. Razor could just play his game completely scot-free and will now be able to get to level 6, and the only thing he had to drop was a dragon.
Yike is going to be able to secure this dragon for KC. They keep their record of taking the first neutral objective in both of the first 2 games of this series. They will lose their blue buff for it. Razork should take over to 6 as well by stealing away this neutral objective. Well, blue side objective, I guess, technically. Take away that buff for himself. Stealing the Grump as well. Targum is still only level 3. Can't really step up here.
And that's the biggest problem. If you're going for this split map situation, it's KC who need to try and get Kalist access to the wave. Oscar Renan is fine to try and just farm down on the bottom side, but it's Targos and Kalist who are the ones that are struggling now to actually get into the matchup.
And it feels so bad if you're Kalist in this game, because finally you get this 2v2. Just, oh, my jungler's on the other side of the map, and I can't do anything, I need to farm with Qs.
Yeah. He just has to stand back up, so trying to keep the wave frozen. Grub's up in 30 seconds time. Yike was able to answer the theft of his buffs by taking away the blue and the Grump of Fnatic. Mickey looking for a dazzle here. Kalist obviously has the safety of an Arcane Shift, and Targamas is pretty tanky when it's just this 2v2. Has that Eclipse, and there's the Arcane Shift away from Kalist.
You can see they're just playing with that jungle pressure. KC doesn't know where Razork is, and even though Kalist is playing this very safe Ezreal, up against that point and click, it's tough to get out.
And he has to be extra careful as well, because if he Arcane Shifts away from Mickey's stun, suddenly you can have Poby who can come up with the Weaver's Wall, the point and click from Razork as well. So you can see how much respect Kalist has to play with of what could potentially be coming from the darkness of Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic will just try and burn that cooldown as often as they can, because you need to hit the Mystic Shots to get that cooldown back. If you don't have an Arcane Shift when it comes to a fight, as you say, Seismic Shove, Cease and Desist, Unstoppable Onslaught, there's so many follow-up mechanics to it. And alongside that, the person that is charging at you will probably have a Taric Dazzle coming out of them alongside it. So it's so much CC.
It's also just so mana intensive as well. You can see Kalist now is struggling for it. So if you actually tried to take a team fight, I don't think you'd have the mana for a lot of Arcane Shifts or a lot of Mystic Shots.
But crucially here, Kana is the one moving, as now Mickey looks for a stun onto Targamas.
Yeah, we'll get it. Eclipse going down from Targamas as well. The Upshot Laser doesn't quite clip him. KC getting 2 of these grubs would be huge as they go for the engage onto Yike. Cataclysm downhill, flash the wall, Unstoppable Onslaught out from Oscar Renan. Looks for the decimating smash, but a good dash away with the Fate Sealed will get KC out of that situation. 2 for 1 in terms of grubs, but KC should be happy enough to get out of there with their life.
And his buffer city for KC, what a beautiful display of mechanics there. Yike buffers the Q flash from Razork so he gets out without getting stunned by the Cease and Desist. And Vladdy buffers the ulti from Oscar Renan so he's fine as well. And overall, they get 2 flashes from the side of Fnatic while getting 1 grub in return.
I think as well, if you end up having that advantage now for 2 minutes time for the next dragon, I think that's where KC can really try and run away with it. You should have Blade of the Rune King completed on towards Vladdy at that stage. Kalist should be able to hit his first on as well. And I think in that position, KC can then start to pick off some of these members, especially with things like the Cataclysm and that Rumble ult combo.
Kalist might be in trouble.
Yeah, he's a little bit alone. TP comes in. There's the Dazzle. Lightning Crash coming out. Kalist's going to dash away, but Mickey's tanking the tower and isn't yet level 6. The minions are in the way of the fire. Upset's going to die too. Targamas needs another couple of orders. Can't quite find them. Razzle going in. Doesn't have that Cease and Desist. Kalist, can you find a way out? No way. Enough. He escapes. A shield getting break, but excessive force out of the buy, finally finds his man.
That was the exact amount of force needed there, because that went a bit disastrously for Fnatic. Upset, missing one of the Q shots means 5, and we'll see it here underneath the tower.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a brave dive from Fnatic here, as they recognize it's the Leona TPing. They can go for this, but they forgot it's Seri. Once that E runs out, her autos get blocked. Upset literally can't kill Kalist because his autos are just getting blocked by the minions. And then Razork finally gets here. Kalist does a pretty good juke with the heal, but Targamas ends up giving Razork the E to take him down.
Yeah, so close for Kalist to escape that. Survived the 2 Cosmic Radiance wasn't available to the Taric. I think it would have been a very different situation if it was. That ultimate can have such an impact. Kalist the next target.
It might be this situation because there's multiple members on the way. You can see them on the minimap. Vi and also Poby now starting to play just down towards this bottom side.
KC reacting to it immediately though. Vladdy on his way down. Yike is just around the bend as Fnatic will back away. 20 seconds on the Drake. Those flashes for Oscar and for Razork still yet to come off cooldown. Kalist no longer has his, nor does Targamas. So it's going to be a pretty summonerless fight if we do see a battle over the Drake. Last time we saw KC kind of giving up the second Drake of the game to Fnatic.
Yeah, it feels hard for KC to find an avenue to really get in here. I think trying to look for Poby maybe on mid lane below his flash could definitely be a good opportunity, as it's hard to break them on bot lane.
The good thing for KC is if they do delay, Kana has teleport and Oscar doesn't. You can see Oscar's already walked his way down through the river, and so Kana could teleport down to a fight around the Drake. Fnatic probably realizing that, say, okay, we've got to go for it immediately, make sure that KC don't have the opportunity to push in that top lane tower.
It's also KC are just shy of their first item breakpoints, whereas you're getting them on Fnatic. So Fnatic basically using that fact that they don't have to pop off for or stop off for a tier and the early boots, but maybe they want to stop off for Kalist.
Kalist not flash. This coming out. Kalist no flash. Seismic shot back into the Dazzle. How do you escape it? It's truly outrageous from Fnatic.
And how have Fnatic just come alive in these early games against KC? This is again, we're seeing Fnatic going for these side lane plays and catching Karmine Corp out.
And if you give Fnatic the buttons, they will press them as they're finding Kalist again and again. With Upset now getting so many plates in this bot lane, Vladdy able to return 2 in mid, but as Kalist's game, this feels terrible.
It really does, and Fnatic have shown that that is their focus. If they can take out Kalist, they believe the rest of the map will go in their favor. Kana only about 9 gold ahead of this Sion on this Rumble. Hasn't had the opportunity to use the equalizer in a big team fight. Has the Leandries, will absolutely burn as Yike is spotted on this control ward towards the top side. Oscar should just be able to walk his way away. He doesn't have the flash though, and with the Cataclysm coming out, there's no real escape here for the Sion. Decimating Smash lands onto 2. They're going to keep chasing him under the tower. The equalizer down, Flame Spitter. Enough from Yike and from Kana to find the kill. Poby on the chase, just going to clear out the way.
I think Oscar was trying to bait, keep Yike interested on this top side, but ends up taking that step too far forward and not respecting the engage range from Yike. Ends up falling and giving KC something back on the map.
Oh, good seismic shove. The Dazzle Kana has to flash it. It was hidden under the earth there, burrowing its way through towards Kana.
Just like gems.
Oh, just like gems, true. Kana did a good job mining out the data that he needed there to make sure that he wasn't clipped by the Dazzle. Rift held up in 50 seconds time. Next Drake still 3 minutes away, but Fnatic with a 2,000 gold lead, predominantly sitting on their bot lane. Upset about a K ahead. Mickey about 500 gold ahead. For KC, once again, you find yourself at the 15-minute mark in a bit of a hole.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, especially as it doesn't feel like this Ezreal poke is really going to come online anytime soon. So you're really relying on Vladdy and Kana and Yike to find this great angle and have the damage in that burst time frame to really win a fight. But Fnatic have such good disengage with this Taric, with this Sion, able to tank as Oscar.
Kana has no flash. If that had hit, I think he charges in with the Unstoppable Force.
Yeah.
Unstoppable Onslaught?
Unstoppable Onslaught,
That's the one, yeah. Unstoppable Force is Malphite ult.
True.
Thankfully, basically the same.
Yeah, basically the same thing. You just charge at a thing. You don't knock it up if there's a Shyvana in the game, apparently. That was what's happening yesterday on the live servers. But Fnatic have set up around this Rift though. They have a little bit of vision control, although the Scuttle Crab and that control ward towards the top side for KC is giving them a nice little peek into what is happening around that Herald.
It's always fun to see supports with Spellbook and they just like randomly ghost and go really fast.
Oscar winning. Unstoppable Onslaught could play a factor here. Kana has the teleport.
I think it's hard for KC to take a fight like this though, because as Jack was already saying, you don't have Kana here, and so much of that upfront burst is where you need to win the fight for KC, because after that Tower Cult comes in, just the consistent DPS from Fnatic is so strong.
They're going to dive onto Oscar. Lightning Crash coming out from Upset, and Targamas has to flash away. Weaver's Wall will split them. Uprights. Separates Kalist from his team, but he doesn't really mind being on this side. Equalizer down will clip the Rift Herald. Razzle diving in. The smite comes out from Yike, lands it. Cosmic Radiance not going to come down in time to save Razzle. Both the junglers have traded their lives, and now we get to see Kalist really open up. Oscar has to flash away. Fate Seal from Bloody doesn't find his mark, and the shield from Oscar is enough, but now the seismic shove. Oscar blows him up with the Roar of the Slayer. Trades his own life for it in the end, a 2 for 2.
KC played that so patient. They end up waiting for that ult to come out from Mickey, but
Mickey's dead. Kalist finds him. Huge. 4-2-0 now on the Ezreal.
And it's Fnatic that are trying to continue taking this Herald, but it's a bit too much as they end up falling. Kalist gets the Herald. He's now back in the game with 4 kills on him. And this is why Kalist on this Ezreal is so respected and does so incredibly well.
And you see as the fight kicks off, it's KC playing it slow. They don't want to overcommit because there is the Tarek Ultimate and the Weaver's Wall to separate them. But you can see as KC come through here, they're just trying to separate the team. Try and finish off Razork. He goes that bit too far before the ultimate comes in. And at that stage, it's kite back, wait for that Tarek Ultimate to fall, and immediately follow through. And it's Vladdy and Kalist who are just tearing through Fnatic in this fight.
And we just saw in the picture-in-picture there, Yike and Razork fighting again, both using their flashes there. And I think, as you said, Rob, you kind of have to say Mickey made a mistake there. He ults a little bit too late when it's Razork that starts the fight, so he doesn't get that Cosmic Radiance to actually survive. And you have to wonder, if he did survive, that fight would look completely different for them.
And it's a 2.5-second cast bar, and we saw Razork diving in, immediately getting stunned, and just probably a quarter of a second away from finding it. KC will get themselves another neutral objective. The Rift Herald, a Grub, a Chem Drake, and now a Mountain Drake. It's going to be a Mountain Soul for us in this game, and either side will be very happy with it. If I'm looking for Fnatic, I'd say if my Scion has a few Mountain Drakes in his back pocket, I am absolutely loving life. But Kalist, the key problem still for Fnatic. The fact that he has built up this advantage, at least in terms of kill score, if not in terms of gold.
And I'm so glad that we're starting game off. Game 2 off very similar to game 1. This looks like to be a very close game here, and maybe even series, as both teams are battling it out, trading blows here and there. But Upset Eo over the wall, but he's going to be fine. And you can see both of these teams are so hungry to try to get something to happen.
I think this is where Fnatic have been kind of finding these small advantages against KC, though, is how well they've been moving from mid into bot to link up with Oscar and just gate KC from entering into their own jungle. They're just stealing away red buffs, they're getting a couple of camps, but most importantly, they're guaranteeing these wave shoves in. And it's isolating Poby to a certain extent, but on the Talia, he's perfectly fine to just continue to shove these waves. And I think it's been doing a lot of work for Fnatic in getting vision and understanding as to what KC are up to.
And I think to add to that, Rob, I really agree, because especially this game, last game Fnatic kind of had the cheat code. When Oscar is 5-0 on this Ambessa, he's so strong he can push out any side. But when you're playing the Scion into the Yone, normally it's the Scion that's going to get pushed in and struggle. But with Fnatic moving so well, constantly able to get this mid pressure, it's still them able to push in sides first, which makes their map so much easier to play.
It really does. As we press towards that 20-minute mark, it's still about 1,500 gold at the advantage for Fnatic. Expect to see another fight in a couple of minutes or so. If someone sees the opportunity to find a pick, they'll go for it. But Artican's up in 40. That will be spawning topside. Next Drake, 3 minutes away. Often when the Artican does spawn up on this top side, we see it fought around a little bit earlier than if it's on the bottom side, because people want to align the Drake and the Artican take whenever you can. Trying to set up vision around it. They'll lose their mid lane tower with the Rift Herald from KC earlier on. It was always going to be pretty easy for them to crack through that. It's the power the Herald gives you. And the reason Fnatic will be pretty dismayed that they didn't manage to win that smite fight.
For sure, especially now with that mid tower gone, it makes it a lot harder for Upset to be the one pushing in these mid waves, and it gives Kalist actually that opportunity to play aggressive on these mid waves, to get control and to be the one to move first to a side, which then has this domino effect of unlocking the Yone, unlocking the Rumble, and just making KC's map play much more succinct.
it does feel like side lanes for KC are a lot easier than they were in game 1.
Yeah.
Firstly, there's not a 5-0 ambassador that you have to deal with, but also you have people that in solo lanes can manage to push their opponents back. The Yone and the Rumble actually do that really well. The Yone's struggling a little bit right now, but if you can get to a position where you're even, you can just get that push out.
But I think the key word in that was solo lanes, and Fnatic are not playing solo.
Very true.
Time. They've just been shifting constantly with 4 members onto these side portions of the map, and it's making sure that then Vladdy can't collect these waves far out, and you can't really, as KC, exploit the fact that this mid lane tower is down, and it's constantly keeping Fnatic within touching distance and keeping them with control over river as well, which is so important.
Yeah, I have to say, like, really give props to Fnatic this game, because even now they're still able to continuously push in every lane pretty much, as now with upset basing, Kalista is going to be able to push this out and maybe leverage some control up towards this river, but Sion being able to repeatedly push in waves and just kind of relax, I think you're really happy as Fnatic.
Yeah, just scaling up that tank as much as you can. KC looking for a little bit of vision towards the Fnatic side of the map. They only have 1 ward sitting on Targamas on that World Atlas, so they don't really want to use it without doing going through due process, making sure it's in the right position, but they'll ward up this topside jungle. Fnatic using that as a great opportunity just to step in here and take down the tier 1. KC investing a couple members too many, but it's because they knew Fnatic had been playing as this 4-man unit. You can't just send one person to go and get the vision, because what if they're waiting there?
And that's exactly what Fnatic are playing off, right? It's just this constant push-pull and waiting for KC to make this slight mistake, because again, they have set up so much vision control in river that they're able to spot out when Yike shows on this top side. Like, he popped himself in towards that tri-brush, and they're like, great, it's going to take you too long to get back towards mid. Now we can go for the play. And it's just these small timing windows that honestly we haven't seen Fnatic play off of before, but they're playing really well around them.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. And even with this play that you guys were talking about, it was Oscar that was able to push in bot first, recall first, and now Kana presumably needs to recall as well to match it. So it feels like Fnatic are constantly ahead of tempo here. And even when KC kind of have the comp that you'd more expect to see in this 1-3-1, able to pressure all 3 sides, it's them who are constantly getting pushed in. But now we got a Drake spawning, so team fights are all that matters.
And it looks like Kana is going to forego that reset and just say, I need to group my team. Positioning on this objective is so much more important. As you said, like, that 2.5-second cast bar for Mickey is the timing window that KC are looking to burst people out, and it's that duo on the top side that are looking for it here.
Kano is absurdly strong right now. Has Bloodletters and Leandri's already complete. He's looking for the damage onto Razork. Weaver's wall coming out. Mickey trying to get in here. Razork diving forward as they jump onto Kana, on towards that backline. Kana gets the equalizer down. Cosmic Radiance coming out as well as Upstairs already got the first kill. The second goes out as Fnatic collapse perfectly. Vladdy and Kana eat dirt.
And it's a disaster for KC. They're the ones with control. They're the ones with the position, but they can't hold it. Fnatic keep being the team with the better...
Gone straight away.
Yeah, they're going to get everything. They can pull the trigger, they can go first, and Fnatic are damn good when they can go first.
And Fnatic looks so much more confident in Madrid. This was a team that almost completely throughout summer they are firmly the 4th place team. Every conversation didn't matter, but it's now Fnatic on towards the Atacant. But KC, do they want to contest?
WTP building ahead already. Can he look for this? Vladdy has to teleport, so does Kana. The Atacant already down to 2,000. Yike trying to get in there, but he can't get close enough. The stun onto Yike, exhausted immediately. He's going to need to get the hell out of dodge. Dives in with the Cataclysm, but dives for it. And now Kana's in the midst of the fray. The dash away from Upset gets him across the wall. Mickey falling low. Oscar in too, but he's going to flash the wall as well. And KC, they're just so close, but they can't get purchase in the fight.
Murderers, they get absolutely everything as we watch this fight back. It's Oscar that finds Kana and sets Kobe up for a great play. Upset with the mobility, Taric with the ulti allows Fnatic to be so tanky that Vladdy and Kana just died with no chance of fighting back. Then they get the Drake, Kobe TP stop, pushes that out, and even with KC having the 2 teleports, they are just too late.
And it's Fnatic using their mobility so incredibly well in fight number 2, and then again in fight number, or this second fight here as well. As KC, they try and go for the engage, but Razork ends up moving forward to then jump back in towards the Atacant. Then as this TP comes through from Vladdy, he immediately gets on towards Upset, but Upset is able to dash away over the wall. Oscarinen buys enough space here and has his flash to make sure he can get away from that Q3 from Vladdy as well. And it's blinking health bars, but it doesn't matter.
Nice.
I can't believe Mickey lived there with 100 HP, slowly waddles out. As Fnatic now looking like they might just start Nash.
And there's no TP, and he's on the bottom side. I think he's just shown on a ward.
Yike's going to put a standard in the bush to try and get a little bit of vision. KC realized this might be happening. So Fnatic are baiting a bush. They've done this since the dawn of time. As Mickey, Razzle, and Pobio on one side. Upset's going to catch the mid wave. Oscarwin is standing near that mid lane bush just to try and get a bit of control around here. KC still on that back foot. Targamas going back to base. Probably run out of wards, needs to refresh. Razzle turns towards the Baron. KC, you got to step into darkness. You got to go into the unknown to try and find a way back into this game. You are bleeding currently. Can you stop it? Find a tourniquet. Is it Yike who can grab it, who can smite it away from Fnatic? Yike able to get into the middle of the pit, but he's there so early. Cataclysm out, but he's just going to die. The Baron's still incredibly healthy. Fnatic will claim it. Can they take the fight afterwards? Another down face sealed. Lands onto Razzle. Upset falling low. Needs to get out. The Redemption saves him. Upset. The Redemption saves him. Upset back in Madrid. And he's not giving up his hopes and worlds again.
Upset is coming for revenge in Madrid here as he takes them down. Kalist does not have the damage. It's Upset's home field, baby.
It is the redemption in the pit. It is the redemption for Fnatic. It is the Baron for Fnatic. As KC, they attempt to make the play here, but Yike goes in too soon. Mickey immediately pops the ultimate to make sure Fnatic can survive. And KC think just maybe that is our moment. And Vladdy goes in, gets on towards the back line, but the redemption barely keeps Upset alive. He dashes over the wall, finishes off with a triple, and it's these blinking health bars once more that are the bane of KC's existence.
It is so close, but so far for Karmine Corp. And after winning Winter, after accelerating onto the international stage, and then struggling a little bit in spring and summer to refine that form, I think a lot of people looked at them as odds-on favorites to get to Worlds. I know I did. I predicted 3-1 KC. Yeah. But today, Fnatic have been the better team so far. They still need to close it out. We have seen them throw from this sort of position in a game before, but not today.
And it doesn't feel like that Fnatic. They feel like they are together. They feel like they understand exactly how far they can push KC, and they are breaking KC right before our eyes. And it looks like that inhibitor turret is the next thing to fall.
And it feels like the nail in the coffin for KC as they're able to get mid inhib now. They can look to siege up towards top as well. Vladdy able to get some sort of reprisal down in that bot lane, but Upset used his E here.
Kana with a good equalizer, but no real collapse from the rest of KC. Does mean that Fnatic are unlikely to continue on the push.
You can see how timid KC are though. Even when Upset uses his E like that and Kana gets so much damage onto him, Yike is still not willing to pull the trigger. And if that felt like your moment, that was your opportunity to come back in the game. What better chance is KC going to get?
It's definitely not going to be this Mountain Dragon that's now just spawned. You can see everything on KC was pushed through Vladdy on that bottom side just to try and get some access point, but Fnatic reset, back out onto the map, immediately start the objective up, and it's for KC. Feels like their grip on this game is falling away.
Oh, it's slipped. They are currently plummeting down to earth, and the question is, can they find some sort of parachute, some sort of grapple on the wall to retain some control of the game, because they just lose another dragon. Thankfully for KC, it is only Fnatic's third of the game. Razzle can step forward, another tier 2 to the men in orange as they take a 7,500 gold lead. 3 minutes before the next Baron, but with supers pushing through mid for the next 4, it's going to be so difficult for KC to ever leave their base.
Everything around KC is crumbling. And again, you already said it, Medic, like this was the team that everyone, well, almost everyone, had their money on. And I'm just blown away with how well Fnatic have played this series thus far. And the thing is now, if Fnatic can close this game out cleanly, what do you try to change as KC? Because this has been comfort. This has been what you've shown your strengths on throughout the year. And nothing seems to be working.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. I really think for me, Fnatic, they felt like they were the dumbest top team. All they did was they played around bot, and if Upset got ahead, they could go in and they could fight. But in this series thus far, they've shown a creative lane swap like we talked about. We've shown that they've been way better at playing around the side lanes, both when they had the winning sides and even when they had the losing sides, at gaining pressure and control of the map. And it's just choked Casey out and given me so much confidence for this Fnatic lineup.
Seismic shove back onto Yike, keep up as well. Flag and drag act, but Razork is not going to let him escape without using his ultimate. Flash away from the Jarvan. Casey's jungler now without that ultimate, without that summoner. 90 seconds before we see the Baron return to the Rift.
Razork did it to use his ultimate as well, though. So you end up getting that buffer out from Yike. With,
Targa was trying to crash, he has to flash. That's the Leona almost just getting taken out, he's dead! Upset dashing in, he's feeling himself, he knows the win is in sight. Game 2 of this best of 5 could be claimed by Fnatic, but they take a step back, they take a breath, they realize perhaps a little bit too hypey there from their AD carry. They want the tier 3 in top as their prize. The wave played out well by KC, Upset has to dash away from Vladdy, who looked to be engaged.
This is not a confidence we saw in Upset when he was on Karmine Corp, but Fnatic Upset looking like he wants to end this right here, right now. With Baron just about to spawn, Fnatic will ease up the pressure momentarily and look for this full build Zeri to take over at the potentially game-ending Baron.
And what a great game from Upset. Picking this Zeri in a tough scenario, gets out with the lane swap, and 8-0. Just doing so much in these team fights, both able to play on that limit, baiting people in, while also doing the damage. And it's such a good redemption arc for him. After a tough last year, feeling like he was a KDA player, and just coming back into this with so much confidence. The fact that he's always following Mickey and Razork, even the one being first to go in, has just set up Fnatic for such great success. And I don't see Casey contesting this Nash.
I mean, Young's going to try and steal it. Sneak behind her, but he's spotted on that ward. He'll clear it out. The Weavers will. Fnatic turn their attention instead to Targa, who immediately is deleted. They don't even need to take the Baron, they'll just take the fight. Kana follows suit as Targa and Kana fall to the dirt. Vladdy having to dash away, but Razor finds him with his fists. A triple for Upset, the base in their eyes.
11-0 for Upset, a 2-0 for Fnatic, and KC look absolutely clueless as to how to stop the rising giants of Fnatic.
And Fnatic have disappointed when we believed, but when we lost hope, that is when they have come back and shined brighter.
The Invis fall. They're going to be delayed. How long on Vladdy and Kana? 20 seconds shouldn't be enough for KC to hold this as Oscar is falling low. Upset begins to step forward and forces KC back to their advantage. He is so damn strong right now. Almost full build. The seismic shove on Cliff will knock him back. And with a slight hiccup as the inhibitor respawns, Fnatic will close it out and go one game away from Worlds.
And Fnatic, an organization that really doesn't miss Worlds. They've only done it twice. Feels like they're destined to get it again.
And we're going to hand it over to Shox, who's standing by, ready for an interview. Shox, take it away.
Not really an interview, but I am on the top of the mountain. If only Yamato could see me now. I'm right here at the top of everybody was, and I gotta say, KC, they are looking dejected. They took a while to get up from their seats. Fnatic immediately up and down those stairs. By the way, did you know there's like 200 stairs that the players need to take every single time when they go up and down? But just this moment for Upset, is this really going to happen, right? Because back in 2018, he had some things he wanted to make up for. What a match between Karmine Corp and Fnatic. Let's see where we go in this next game. Oh, I also came up the stairs.
Around Fnatic find themselves 2-0 up in the series, but looking at potentially Nkoi tomorrow.
And I want to build off a bit, Rob, what you were talking about earlier with the drafts and how Fnatic's been playing. Just giving kind of clear win conditions for both teams here. I think for Fnatic, it's really obvious they need to kind of win this early game. They want Razork ahead, and they want to utilize Poby to move around the map. And then when it comes to the side lanes later on, we've been seeing them maneuver really well around getting push in one side and then transitioning that pressure to the other side. So they need to continue to do that and really utilize this TFL to get picks. Because Casey's win condition is just relax. Scale until 2 to 3 items, group up as 5, and then losing a 5v5 will be nigh near impossible.
Oscar and Kana will meet up towards the top side. Kana taking the leap strike first here just to follow up onto Oscar. We'll get him chunked down. A little bit reminiscent of game 1 as KC tried to put their heads in towards the Fnatic jungle. And Fnatic will just have Razork starting on those Razor Beaks.
And this counter pick up in the top lane, it's a nice matchup for the Gragas, but it's not really up until you get that lost chapter that you can actually start to poke out this Jax, as he just is an 80 champion. He does more damage to minions and more damage to you in the early levels, so he's going to get that push, but we got some fighting off in the bot side.
Yeah, Mickey and Targamas falling down low. Mickey on the wrong end of that one as he's down to about 300 HP. Already has to pop one of those potions. Targamas will do the same, with the Oracles will sweep out any vision that Fnatic could have had there. And again, Kalista and Targamas getting the early prio in this lane.
Especially with the fact that Mickey had to give up the bush. There's the level 2, hits on towards him, but Kalista already back in the minion wave, so Targamas just going to take some damage back because the cowbell, no Alistair in this one so quite yet. Oh, sorry, was on earlier in the series, but still good to hear it.
Yeah, unfortunately we will not be hearing it in game.
I don't often see supports these days actually doing the cowbell.
I feel like people don't play the skin anymore.
That's true, yeah. I wonder if there's some skin that has slightly better animations or something for you. I often see that happen as Vladdy's getting the push here in mid again on his Victor. Kalista and Targamas able to push Upset and Mickey back, but they should be able to get, I mean, they're going to be about 3 CS down after this wave that finishes under the tower.
And for me, I feel like Vladdy's Victor is iconic with it, really. I remember at first stand, Victor was nearly permabanned throughout the whole tournament against them, and it just felt like the one pick that KC always had that Vladdy could really do magic on. But then when you come into a series like this, he's already lost on the Orianna, very similar champ to the Victor. I'd love to see him perform better in this game, but right now, my hopes are pretty low.
He has got about a 71% win rate on it across the course of the year. His most played alongside that is Zir, 15 games, so very comfortable on the champion. If they can scale, which the composition definitely allows them to do, and get a big lead here as Razork's going to go intangible. Targamas are looking for that CC route. Mickey diving in though, and they dive onto Kalista, who has to flash away. The ricochet will start to shred through Fnatic. They back away immediately. Mickey's on the wrong side of this wall and doesn't really have a hope in hell of escaping. KC should claim first blood. Mickey's going to chase up Kalista. Meanwhile, Razork trying to dive in onto Yike. Jumps across into Targamas as well, but he's got no mid laner here. With Vladdy moving across from mid, Razork has to flash the wall.
So Razork ends up moving into position to smite away the Scuttle Crab, so at least gets something as he has to burn his flash, but Mickey walking into the pit ends up giving that kill across, so KC ends up burning a lot of summoner spells, but a kill early for Kalista.
And Fnatic just didn't have the damage. They were the ones who got to pull the trigger onto Kalista, but with him flashing away, with the barrier, with the spell shield, they weren't able to bring him down, and then after that, they pretty much just got ran down. Now, I'm not the jungle main, so I'm not sure if Razork going back in to blow his flash to get crab was worth, but he got now the top crab as well. He's coming into the Raptor respawn. I mean, it's not looking too bad for him CS-wise.
I love this for Mickey. We've seen him doing it quite a few times. Kana going in there, Counter-Strike out. Does still have the
Oscar
flash.
has no mana.
Oscar has no mana, so yeah, I mean, it's a good gank timing. We'll force Kana back a little bit, and the wave's not in the best of spots for that Jax. So Mickey can just run around here again.
I mean, he has no Counter-Strike on the Jax, but
he can just stand nearby. Ooh, a pause, okay.
Okay. It's like there's a bug. Why is there support in my lane?
Why is this relevant? What's going on? So we'll work out exactly what is happening with that pause.
Even though Mickey doesn't get the kill, I think it's still really nice. Like, so he's given Oscar the opportunity to freeze here, and Kana will probably just reset and TP back in, but buying that reset time of Frost Grinning, plus you have Razork now on the top half of the map. Like, I still think Razork needs to reset, but it does mean that you can see where Yike is on the map. At least you've still got cover for Oscar Rinnan when he's low on mana, low on HP, and the enemy jungler's in the air.
Very true. And to have Yike on his signature Maokai, he is close by, 30-5 on this pick across the course of his career, which is pretty damn impressive, you've got to be honest, as we'll see how much of an impact he can have on this game. We talked a little bit about, is it worth it to get the Scuttle Crab on the Neferi? If I'm a Neferi, you just want to get as much gold as possible in the early game, right? Get yourself to a position where the Hound's Pursuit is actually a good kill threat, because one of the issues is if you are the first person burning anything out of this Sivir, she's just going to spell shield you as soon as you come in, and then Darking Daggers will get you a little bit of follow-up, kind of trying to get some of this XP, as Mickey will continue to force him away. He does have, Kana does, his jungler and his support on their way up here to try, and I think now Mickey will realize, okay, yeah, we might just have to back off a little bit.
Yeah, and I really want to touch upon what you said about Yikes Maokai. It feels like KC have really brought out their best of their best in every single role. This game, they can do so saying that, you know, they gave everything they had, and it just wasn't enough.
Yep. Very much agree with that. You got to throw the Hail Mary, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially when you're losing the way you're losing so far as KC in the series, you just go comfort. It's like, we'll just play the things we know we can play. Composition works. We have scaling. We're okay. Let's just make sure that we go out with as big of a bang as we can have. And if we lose this one, well, we tried. You know, that happens.
But I think they're off to a great start here.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you got the early skirmish, burnt a bunch of summoner spells, and got an early kill onto Kalist means the early resets are better. He's able to get pushed in his bottom lane better. Like, it kind of just stifles a lot of what Fnatic were hoping to achieve in these early stages. So for KC, I think you're just very chuffed with the fact that you managed to get this early lead.
Razork looking for a little bit of an invasion. Totally agree with you there, Dagda. I think KC will be happy with how things have gone, especially getting the kill over onto Kalist on this Civ. If he can scale up quickly, it is very hard for Fnatic to actually get on top of him that easily. You've got Nature's Grasp, you've got a Counter-Strike, you've got the Spell Shield, you've got a Nautilus. Like, yes, you can dive in, but that's tricky. As Targum is going to get knocked up here. Does have the flash upset Valkyrie forward. Dredgeline away from Targa. Razork hits the Darking Daggers, but only onto Kalist. And Fnatic don't want to go any further. KC hold them off well.
Yeah, and also in that mid lane, you can see Vladdy taking a very good trade against Poby. So I think trying to make sure that this TF couldn't get into the bottom side again. But I think that's where Fnatic are going to try and look for this reset. As Poby going to try and go back to base, and then could potentially ult in towards a dragon or maybe even a pick elsewhere for KC, or sorry, for Fnatic.
Razork now with that level 6, he has a pretty substantial lead onto Yike. Was kind of the biggest winner for Fnatic out of that bot side skirmish, as he's now looking to go for the top crab as well. And I think for me the two good things that are happening in Fnatic's game here is the fact that Poby survived the first few levels of the TF, can be quite a struggle into this Victor, and has now gotten that level 6 so he can start impacting the map. This Neferi, which is a real win con, is able to propel herself and actually get that CS lead that she really requires.
Yeah, that's the thing for them. They're putting a lot of weight on Razork's shoulders with this early game, but he has been known to carry it across the years. We'll see it as well. There is a risk that Fnatic fall into their own ways a little bit. There's a lot of dive.
Yeah.
Like the Neferi wants to go ham, wants to dive in towards that backline, and there's always the risk that Razork's the only one going forward. You kind of want to split the fight with an explosive cask and then pick people off one by one rather than having a full 5v5 front to back.
But it's also a very different look from Fnatic. Like, a lot of when Razork plays, it's on enablers, right? To set up his lanes, try and get people like Upset ahead. This is very much a Fnatic playing for him, but playing against Kana here.
Strike into the crash down. Kana will pop the Grandmaster's Might and leap strike to a minion. Dodges to the side of the explosive cast with that flash. He'll survive.
And is this not a different Fnatic we're seeing? It's Mickey consistently going top and pressuring Kana. This feels unheard of, the Fnatic that I was watching a few weeks ago. All they knew was bot, but this Fnatic is playing the map and they're playing it comprehensively.
And putting pressure into Oscar and as Razork was able to take two of the Hound's pursuit. He flashes. Oh, the destiny for the vision is beautiful. That was team coordination to a T from Fnatic, and now they're looking for Targamas under the turret. Razork will have the Hound's pursuit again, dashes in, can eviscerate to drop away some of the aggro. There's two to the dogs. Who let him out? Fnatic.
Fnatic are looking to take over the early game once more. KC, sure, they'll get the dragon, but the kills on the top laner and the support are massive for Fnatic Snowball.
And it's Razork that picks up both kills here and the third grub. He's building such for himself, putting himself in such a fantastic position to carry. And he's shown us throughout this series, he can carry. He has off moments where he goes too deep and just dies. He's locked in.
And Jack, you said at the start of the day, Poby has only really been pressing ore, but that press ore was so clutch for Razork to be able to get that kill. And again, though, it's like Fnatic just moving well around the map. They shift Poby to bot side, they open up Upset on mid, which means that Mickey can roam towards that top side of the map, knowing that they've got the safety everywhere else. And now they're looking to move in again. It is Mickey caught, but he should be able to get out.
He'll be fine. He has the crash down. It was a good dredge line, bending it around that wall, but in the end will amount to not too much there for KC. They did manage to pick up the first Dragon, Mountain Drake over to Karmine Corp. 3 grubs for Fnatic, so we have that exchange of the early neutrals. The question is, will we see a fight around the next? Still 5 minutes away for the Rift Herald and 4 minutes for the Drake, so we have a few moments to relax and wonder if Fnatic are going to make that 30.
Oh, he canceled his Q.
Beautiful!
Oh my god!
Who is this man? You take him to Spain and he's living La Vida Loca, apparently.
He's so damn good. I don't know what he ate today. His confidence is just through the roof. And he's dropping bombas left and right.
I don't know if it's in the tapas or the paella or what it might be, but holy moly, Oscarinen, take a bow, sir. Because everyone counted you out in this matchup. Everyone said that Kana was going to take over this series through the top side. And it's Oscarinen who's finding the solo kills. It's Oscarinen who has been more impactful. And it's Oscarinen who is delivering Fnatic everything on a silver platter.
The question I ask myself is, can Oscarinen survive?
Yeah.
And he's exceeded all expectations. And him and Razork looks like they're going to carry game 3 to make Fnatic 3-0.
I mean, this man is moisturized and thriving right now. Like 2 of the 3 games we've seen so far, he has been the dominant force in that top lane. It's only 12 minutes in as Targum is caught out a little bit with those darting daggers. You can see the chunk. As soon as you get that Spear of Zojin, becomes so hard to fight against. Dredgeline going in onto Mickey. There's the Destiny. Targum is trying to get out because the Hound Pursuit's going to chase him down. Razork goes intangible. They dive back onto Yike. Razork now needs to get out, doesn't have the flash, and Kalist will put a boomerang into his backside. The dive in! A twisted advance from Yike finds 2! With a Nature's Grasp and a Bramble Snatch, he'll find his marks. That's 2 for them. Counter-strike out from Kana. Oscarinen still needs to be a little bit cautious. Only has a lot of ages right now and a tier. Perhaps he'll be the one queuing after this. Kana dives back in. Good knockback from Oscar to survive.
There is life in KC, yes. And what I was going to say was that Fnatic, this is a very different composition again. This is one that, while it looks fantastic, can crumble at a moment's notice. And KC showing that there is still cracks in the Fnatic defense yet.
Oscar looking for another bomber, puts the ward into the bush. Grandmaster's Might. There's no mana on Kana, but the TP comes in. KC bail out their top laner in what was a very precarious situation.
But it's Oscar that's able to get all this pressure and able to buy now Poby so much time here to push out top. As we watch this replay, I really want to focus on the Upset Kalist 1v1 that I think determined so much of this outcome. As you see here, Upset starts the fight with Kalist, but he loses quite hard. He W's in and he gets really chunked, has to back out, which then means that now Kalist is the one that can run down all of Fnatic as they have to get herded away, and then Yike with a beautiful flash W gets both Upset and Razork.
Great sidesteps from the Rockets from Kalist, making sure that especially that big one didn't land from Upset, because that could have been a very different duel. But it's Fnatic now, still back out onto the map. Still a 1.6k gold lead, Dragon in 50 seconds. And if KC can use the fact that they've managed to pick up some of this gold on towards guys like Kalist to try and find these fights, maybe there's still opportunities here.
Yeah, Yike evening out the jungle alongside it. Now has the Leandries complete, only about 250 gold between the tree and the dog. Kana should be able to get the push up here in the top. No teleport. KC have TP on Kana, but nowhere else. So I wonder if we'll see a fight around this Drake, because KC will have a man advantage if they want it. Kana stepping past the tower here, gets 2 plates for himself with that Demolish. It's back within 1,000 gold of Oscarinen.
As the game kind of slows down, it feels like, spawning the Chemtech Dragon. KC have full control of the bot side here. Able to push it in, presumably might be able to pick this up for free, unless Razork has other ideas.
Razork's looking, but Targamas and Kalist are waiting for him. They saw him walk through mid lane, so they have perfect awareness of where Razork is. Dredgeline in from Targamas, Call of the Pack used by Razork just to jump away from it. Wasn't going to connect anyway. KC still on the Drake, should be able to get this one, as Fnatic still eye for a fight. Want a bit of a Barney around here if they can get it. Mickey has that Magnet Storm, will step in. Shadowing Strike, Destiny popped as well. Mickey, the flash engage is there, you can sense it, but not going to be able to find it.
But they're getting what they want on side lanes, right? Like, Poby's just been pushing in this bot lane the entire time, as KC have kind of been struggling to move between Dragon and mid lane. And I can't quite see, but I mean, it should be low. There's no more turret plates on it, so not quite going down, but at least Fnatic are still getting access to the points in the map.
Yeah, I think overall, as KC, you're very happy with that. But as you say, Rob, I'm very happy seeing Fnatic both be tempered, yet also pushing the limits of what every play is possible. As now, Kana looks like he's in a lot of trouble here.
He has to run away. Razor cuts the wave really well, jumps over the wall with the Eviscerate, grabs the next wave, and it's like, okay, Kana, you can stay here, but then you're dealing with a 2v1. Targamas was on his way across, but Oscar will just hold this wave, let the cannon die, and then take the tower.
I don't know if Mickey's going to be fast enough to the counterpunch on the bottom side, though. Hobie left alone underneath the structure.
Arcane Storm coming out. Yike
He's so tanky.
grasp. He is incredibly tanky with that Rod of Ages already complete. Vladdy, and wave still stands for him. Rift Herald secured for Fnatic as Mickey doesn't quite hit the Shadowing Strike.
And I think this sequence really highlights why we've been so happy with Fnatic today. They lose the Drake, but immediately they're with the counterpunch. He recalls fast to protect the bot play, and they're able to get both a top tower and a Herald after they were the ones who lost out on the Dragon. It just feels like they're always one step ahead of K-Corp.
It really does. There is something just about Fnatic. There's a mojo. I don't often use the word, I'll do it in honor of Munch. There's a mojo about Fnatic when it comes to qualifying for Worlds. 12 of 14. They missed Season 2 and they missed 2016. And since then, they have made Worlds every single time, and even in a year where I think a lot of people kind of counted them out to a degree. A lot of people said, well, they are top 4, but it's KC, G2, MCoy are my favorites to make it. Once again, you get to the series that makes you get there, and Fnatic somehow find a way. KC trying to stymie that, trying to stop it. Dredgeline's going to hit, but Poby's going to walk away. In fact, he's going to walk back forward. TP coming in. Targamas stunned up, tried to flash away. The TP cancelled up towards the top side as Oscarinin was caught out by Yike, Kalist, and Kana. He's going to try and get away, but the Nature's Guard's going to follow him. Meanwhile, on the bot side, you can see Razok still chasing onto Vladdy. The Rift Herald used to charge down the tower. Vladdy will die. Rift Herald, where you're going back towards the tier 2. 1-for-1 exchange, but a tower alongside it for Fnatic.
And it's Fnatic that are winning out in this trade as they get the bot tower and they're going to get the tier 2. And Kana might be able to pick up this top tower, but it's Fnatic that are constantly ahead in tempo. And even when Oscar dies here...
He finds him. Oh, does he? Okay, upset Wars past target. TP
and
coming
Kana
out from
TP'd, so
Kana.
he doesn't get the top tower, but he does have a flank on the bot.
They're looking for the collapse onto Poby here, who has the flash and has the teleport and has the destiny. Locks a gold card in. We'll wait for the counter strike. Knockup coming out from Targamas. I think they're just giving up Poby.
Another TP behind, though.
Exhaust down onto Kana. Razok needs to run away, but he's got so many tools to do so. Eviscerates across the wall. Vladdy's still on the chase. Mickey dismounted for now, but remounts, finds the horse in time to gallop his way back to the turret.
But KC get one kill, but I have to question, was that even worth it? You spend 2 teleports, you don't crash this top wave, and you don't get the top tower now. It feels like KC are the team that the only thing they know how to do is group and kill people, and if they can't do that, they're lost.
It feels like desperation. It feels like KC see the door closing on what is not only just their World's opportunity, but potential to move further towards our finals in the LEC as well. And they're trying everything, they're throwing everything they can, but it's just, there's nothing up even if they get those kills, like any objective anymore. As Razork a little bit up forward here.
It steps a little bit forward, but the Eviscerate out will get him to safety. I think importantly for KC, if they can get the next Drake, if they can somehow put Fnatic on a position where they have to fight every dragon, they can scale. They can also just slow down the game, give up a few Drakes, not give up towers on the side lane, just scale into this game. It's not all doom and gloom for them. They have an AD carry that is 1,500 gold ahead. They're just not finding fights where Kalist can actually have an impact.
I think critically, this Sivir with the Infinity Edge, with the Yuntal, so much further ahead than this Corki. It's really hard for Fnatic to actually team fight 5v5. So KC can go back to their tried and true method. Like, you can see Fnatic, they have the TF on bot, they have the Gragas on top. They're going to push out these sides, but I think KC may be grouped here a little bit too early, as now they're going to be forced to send Kana up top. Someone's going to have to catch this bot side, and then Fnatic can just now leverage those numbers advantage to get the maybe Drake.
Poby might be collapsed on Destinies immediately.
But Vladdy has to choose between picking the wave here or not. And it just, you see this constant pressure and tension on Fnatic that's making it so difficult for KC to play.
Fnatic haven't started the Dragon up immediately though. Now the wave's been dealt with by Vladdy. Can KC mount some sort of attack here as Fnatic look to just steal the Dragon run?
Targamas goes in with the Hex Flash. Nature's Grasp coming out. Oscarin's going to be able to dodge that. Meanwhile, Mickey caught out. He'll crash down back into the pit. Oscarin on the wrong side of this fight, but he's so tanky for now. Karna dives in with a counter-strike, finds Mickey. Oscarin already dead. A good stun card from Poby. The Death Judge will follow him down. 2 already. For KC, the 5v5 fight is exactly where they thrive, but they can't find more out of it. They do get the Drake, though. Great from Yike there to land the smite, I think.
And KC have found the comp that they needed. As yes, you're right, Medic. Yike got the dragon. He's quite good at getting those, and they just found what works for them. They have this composition that's so easy to play. You see how hard it is. Oscar tries to find a flank, but once Kalist uses that spell shield nicely, Oscar has no more tools. He's just left for dead, and the rest of Fnatic are sent scrambling.
Fnatic just took a second to see if they could get the pick instead of just picking off the dragon. And you can see that button, and it was so incredibly close. You can see they're just doing everything they can. Mickey putting bodies in the way so they can finish this off. But at the end of it, it's actually the Twisted Advance that ends up picking it up, as Kana is in a great position here to keep the members of Fnatic out, and it's focused them off one by one. And as that speed up is coming through, you can see KC thinking maybe they can have it, but those daggers from Razork have them second guessing.
A goal lead shrinks to only 1,000. Oh, Mickey. That's a sneaky play if I've ever seen it. Vladdy trying to answer on this side lane. Mickey just waiting. Vladdy's going to check it, and Mickey realizes, okay, perhaps I can't do too much more. Goes in with the Magnet Storm still. Nature's Scar's going to follow him home, and I think Fnatic are the ones with a little bit of desperation coming out now. Mickey went for the engage. No real follow-up from his team. He'll die to Vladdy. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Kalist was chunked out, but he survives. A 1-0 exchange so far. Razzle chasing Yike down, upset, having to Valkyrie forward, but immediately concussive blows coming out from Targus. He'll cleanse, he'll flash away. They dive back in. Razzle finds Carnage.
Kalist is in base.
Kalist is in base. He had to recall because of the trade in the mid lane. And Yike escapes with his splash. 1-for-1 the exchange in totality.
And this is what Fnatic need. They need chaos. They need fights to be happening all around, that KC can't just group up and make it simple for them. Upset, Valkyries in on mid, chunks Kalist, Mickey ins, but the fights keep happening, and Fnatic, they want to keep that tempo up as they start this Arakan.
No explosive cast, no Hound's Pursuit, no Destiny, no Magna Storm. Fnatic have one ultimate, and it's a Corki missile. Is it going to be enough into a Death Charge and on the hunt, an Arcane Storm? Yike on his way, doesn't have that Nature's Grasp. A stun card from Poby has to flash the Dredge line. Artakan down to 4,000 HP. TP coming in from Kana as they look for the fight. Razzle stepping forward, but he's already down to half HP. Yike going in as well. Look at that smite. It's Razzle that gets the Artakan, but it's Mickey who's going to pay for it with his life. A twisted advance from Yike will find his mark. Nature's Grasp coming out now. Fnatic scattering, fleeing the scene of the crime. They snuck it away from KC.
I can't believe Fnatic managed to find that window as Kana was dead and couldn't TP into the fight. They even managed to clear out the wave, so KC can't try and get that play on the top side, and it's Mickey who gives his life to make sure Fnatic can get the objective.
And it's the intelligence from Fnatic. They understand that this is what their composition needs. They need this chaos. They need the pace to be incredibly high, because if they lower it, if he's slow, then Drake 5v5 them and they will lose the game. You see here that Fnatic, they're not playing for the fight. All they want to do is secure this objective. As soon as they get it, they scramble, they run, they drop Mythics. If they lose him, it's okay. They got what they wanted.
Poby just barely managing to get out of the way of that Maokai ultimate as well, but now a minute and a half until that next Dragon Soul for KC, and that's all KC want. Just an excuse to drag Fnatic into a fist fight, but Mickey again sneaking around.
So sneaky from Mickey, finds the Shadowing Strike into the Crashdown. They just want to chunk out Kana. Explosive cast, but they're not there. There's the Magna Storm, follow up Hound's Pursuit. In from Razzle, Kana is down. Drake up in a minute, it's still a while. Hound's Pursuit in, again by Razzle, immediately jumps up into the corner of the pack to negate the Bramble Smash out from Yike. Eviscerate forward, trying to get that mid lane control once again.
And it felt like Fnatic needed some magic to try to get control of this Drake after we've seen them struggle before. And Mickey keeps finding these creative angles that are doing so much from them. But still, we can't get too ahead of ourselves. There's still 40 seconds. Kana will be back up for it, and they'll need a normal setup. They need one more magic trick if they're going to pull this off.
Well, Fnatic made the Artakan disappear earlier. They sneak the kill onto Kana. They now have a 35 petal lead, which is about 2.5k in terms of stats.
Oscar Inden is playing around this ward on the bottom side though. There's a ward here and he's managed to sneak over the wall, and now actually just spotted by Yike. A little bit on his lonesome.
I mean, Yike's going to get chunked out. Uses the Nature's Grasp as well, which is huge. That's a big ultimate that won't be available for the Cloud Drake fight. Poby stunned up in the gravity field. Oscarinen going back in, trying to make the tree go timber. And there's the follow-up, twisted advance forward. Razzle getting chunked out quite a ton. As the redemption comes out, Kana flashes for it. One down on either side, Oscarinen on that front line, but Fnatic can't take the fight anymore. They need the picks, they need to find the sneaky routes in. But with both junglers down, KC just going to start up this dragon.
Oscar is looking to base and TP back here with full HP. If he can find the angle.
Stunned. I thought for a second he was just going to dive in immediately with a counter-strike. Oscarinen looking for that flank. Targamas can dive on him immediately, and they have a ton of CC. He's very tanky and has the Seekers just picked up, so can stop time for a second. Magnustorm in by Mickey. The Gatling gun from Upset. Kana counter-strikes the gold card and dives onto Poby. Poby almost dies to the laser, but doesn't quite go down. Upset's going to kill off Kana. Meanwhile, on the top side of the fight, Oscarinen getting chunked out, and Kalist and Vladdy will secure that kill.
And KC have the better team fighting comp, and they're doing it with Kana going in, able to pick them off, and they're gonna get the Cloud Soul as we watch how it all unfolded here.
It was a great idea from Fnatic. Oscarinen waiting in that bottom side, trying to find the sneak angle that he needed to, but ends up getting spotted early. They tried to commit on towards Yike, but Kana, in the midst of everyone, is buying so much time, and KC's backline isn't under threat. KC are able to get the damage that they want off. And as they then go to reset here, sure, Oscarinen is able to come in, but there's just no real angle of attack here for Fnatic. Kana not giving Poby that opportunity to stun him. Resets, KC back away, and they look for the re-engage.
And you can really see the difference in the two carries of the two compositions here, as Sivir and Victor has such an easy time just outputting DPS and making the game so hard for Fnatic, while this TF and Corki are scrambling. They're trying to hit the skill shot, they're trying to get the burst down, but they don't have enough sustained damage.
So much credit to KC with how they have fought this game. They've been behind in gold the entire time, but they found every single avenue they've needed to keep themselves in it. Fnatic now drawing them towards the Baron. Kana has TP, Fnatic will back away.
They're just hoping they could get the TP, but KC, they don't answer the bluff. They instead just keep that pressure on towards the bottom side, and they're going to look to keep this pressure up. Fnatic, they're trying desperately to find something, but now it's KC with Soul, with 3 items on their Sivir. Vladdy nearly getting towards that Sonya's Hourglass as well. KC feel like they've crested the hill, and it's just about smooth sailing to find themselves that teamfight win towards victory.
It's exactly as you say, Rob. And this Cloud Soul is so damn valuable, because what Fnatic needs is a pick. They need to find someone who's caught off guard. But when everybody's suddenly a race car on the side of KC, that becomes so damn difficult. But if there's one man who can find magic, even when I thought there was none available, it would be Mickey. So let's let him cook one last time.
See what he can find. Fnatic trying to get some semblance of control around the Baron right now. Their gold lead shrinking by the second. Yike has done such a good job of making sure he survives, dives forward with a twisted advanced explosive cast. Not quite there. Hound's Pursuit available to Razzle. Can look for the engage. Arcane Storm out from Vladdy just to disengage. Kalist and Upset fighting down towards the bottom side of the fight as Kana is yet to TP in.
But that's exactly what Jack was talking about. They're so quick and they can't really find anything. Kana has prevented or stopped his reset on the bottom side. He wants to just keep pushing as KC, they're corralling Fnatic, keeping them busy so then this Jax can do work on the bottom lane.
So hard now for Fnatic to find the engage they really need. Depth charge onto Mickey, goes out of vision, double redemption out, but Mickey will be the first to fall. He goes down. Kana continues to push in bots.
And it feels like the nail in coffin for Fnatic. They weren't able to find it. They might be able to pick off Kana here, but Casey will be able to get this Baron Nashor. We'll see if they can even pick off Kana with how fast he is with his Cloud Soul.
He doesn't have the flash. Counter-strike out, rapid fire onto him. Will get the gold card connection stun. Kana still trying to chase away, but the exhaust and the flash forward from Poby will get the CC. Oscarinen still looking for that flank position. Can go in. It will be Kana's life for Baron if he even dies. Explosive cast back. Kana will fall. Upset gifted the gold, but the Baron for KC.
I mean, that's so worth this KC. Yeah, you lose Kana, but this Baron should be everything that you need to close out this game. And KC are wasting no time. They immediately move into the top lane.
I think the one thing for KC now is, do you get a bit over-eager here? This is where you could stumble at the finish line, because Kana is still going to be dead for quite a while, and he's going to be delayed in tempo. So now, this would be a prime opportunity for Fnatic to be able to find someone caught off guard with Kalist recalling in a safe spot.
Kalist gets out. That's huge for him. Elder in 2.5 minutes, but the game begins to snowball away from Fnatic. KC unwilling to give up that world spot, to give up a rematch with MCoy that easily. It would take a reverse sweep to do it, but this would be the first step for them. Fnatic still fishing for something. In fact, it's Targamas who fishes, chucks out the hook, connects onto a wall. TP behind as Poby begins to run. Depth charge coming out as well. The heal, the redemption, everything being used to try and get Poby out of this situation, but there's no escape from the clutches of Karna and Kalist. Mickey and Poby fall, and KC might just look for the win.
They've already got that bot wave prepped and ready as they start their march towards the base. Oscarinin will have to retreat from the top half of the map to try and stop his base from going down.
And KC finally breathing some life back into this series, as it looks like they might just take the game right here.
I mean, they might just be able to close it out. 30 seconds before Poby is back up. 15 on Mickey. He does have the Magnet Storm. Razzle looking at the damage onto Vladimir. It's just not enough. The comfort picks for KC seem to have paid off. The Nexus tower's falling. Oscarinin trying to defend. Explosive cast might be used just to clear out that minion wave, but the bound up minions so strong. Karna diving back in, Shadowing Strike crash down, will get the stun onto him. Dredgeline dodged by Mickey, steps down away from it. The Gravity Well finds the stun. Kalist and Yike begin to open up on the mid lane inhibitor tower.
And for the first time, Fnatic look like they're bleeding, but it's Fnatic who are on the chase.
Oscarinin chasing in. He's the only one with TP on this team. Poby goes in with the Destiny. They dive to Vladdy. Magnet Storm out. Mickey finds one. They'll look for two. Karna jumps away with the lead strike. Pops the stopwatch. Goes golden. But he is just going to his grave. Fnatic find two more. Dredgeline away from Targamas. They're in.
But it's Elder. It's Elder in 40 seconds.
4 seconds, as you say. 40 seconds on Karna and Vladdy. They'll be back up just in time for the Elder spawn.
But that might be too late. If they spawn on the Elder and Fnatic decide to rush it, they're already pressing recall. This might be the magic that Fnatic needed.
KC have this game in their hands, but has it just slipped between their fingers? Fnatic, they're not resetting. They're faking it. They're going to look for the pick. They're hoping that someone on KC will wander through this jungle. You can see that ward in the base is actually giving them the information that Fnatic have not actually reset.
I think KC might have to give it. It looks like they're not deciding to enter, and they're going to give Fnatic the Elder. What is happening?
It wouldn't be an LEC series with Worlds qualification on the line if we didn't get a roller coaster of a gold graph, guys. KC had control of the game. They greeded, they split, they looked for the Nexus towers, and you talked about it, Jack. You said when you are in this position in a series, it is so easy to overstep. The Elder will be secured by Fnatic. Razzle waiting on it just a little bit.
They're trying to time it a little bit with the Baron now. Very smart here by Fnatic.
They want to have that buff for the Baron fight. They'll continue to wait. Mickey was looking for Karna, who successfully dodges away from it. They just hold it, and there we are, 2 minutes before the Baron. Fnatic will steal everything they can. The goal is basically irrelevant at this point. Look at the items. Kalist almost at full build. Upset still quite far away. 3 items for him. A massive disparity there.
And these fights have looked impossible for Fnatic to take, but maybe, just maybe, with that Elder Dragon, they'll have enough firepower to make something happen. But that overlap is so minuscule. 20 seconds of that Baron being available and that Elder buff lasting.
And we talked about the burden a team bears after losing a game 1 or game 2 like we saw, and you can see it on KC's shoulders. This is a game that normally for them I think would look easy. They have a comp that's right up their alley. They won the early game, they got all the dragons, but you can see how they're a little bit disjointed, a little bit nervous. Everything feels a bit heavier than normal, and it is costing them dearly.
In terms of carries, they still have a massive advantage. They are so strong. I will say Poby, now with a Rabadon's Death Cap complete, if he can land a gold card, will absolutely melt through someone.
It's basically your full one-shot build at this stage. He's going to do so much work. Only that control ward preventing him from being full build at this stage. But Fnatic, they're just hoping someone on KC takes that step too far forward. Kalist needs to be careful.
Yeah, might need to back away a little bit here. Fnatic timing this with the minion wave coming in. Hex flash forward by Mickey. Hound's pursuit on Kalist. The spell shield coming out as well. He's going to dash away. Call of the pack for Razzle will get him out of dodge. Oscarinin pops the stopwatch and Fnatic pop the tower. They'll take another one in this unrelenting push, but with Baron coming up in 20 seconds and the Elder falling off in 45. They want to go back and regain control. Look at the bot wave, though. Super minions pushing in there. At some point, someone's going to have to deal with that. And if Fnatic don't deal with it, double TPs from Kate.
But Poby found the pick.
Poby finds the pick. Onto Yike, twisted advance forward. Upset flash. The dragon comes in. Fnatic Dragons find their way to the rift. The Elder laser enough to kill off the enemy jungle.
But KC are pinging enemy Nexus. They're thinking about TPing, but Fnatic want to keep fighting. Oh, this game is on a knife's edge here.
Oscarina needs to reset. You can see him. He's just got that channel lock. Vladdy couldn't interrupt him with that Ray. And now the minions are on towards the Nexus tower.
Elder down in 6.
That's it. That's the Elder buff gone. KC, they can potentially take the fight when they see Oscarina in the base.
KC have an advantage around the Baron pit right now. They've got an extra man. Poby, no destiny for him. He's going to have to sprint across it. Pops the Ghost to do so. Meanwhile, Oscarina TPing behind. KC, the ones now getting caught, perhaps in their own jungle. A hook onto Oscarina. Targamas chunked out. Mickey cleanses away with the unsealed spellbook. He's looking for that Magna Storm flash. Across the wall, can't find it. Fnatic turn their eyes back towards the Baron. 5 seconds on Yike.
KC are just playing this push and pull. Tried to delay by time for Yike. He's now spawned, but he needs to get to the Baron, and it might just be gone.
It's already down to 6,000. Karna dives in. Razzle dashes away. Mickey gonna get caught out by Kalist. But Kalist on the wrong side of the wall. The Baron goes over, and it's Razzle who gets it. Kalist with a GA. He'll find it. Karna gets one, and he's looking for more. Poby has to flash away. But although Fnatic got the Baron, KC clean up the fight.
KC Nova Moriria! They are taking it back. They're not out yet as they bring this series to game 4.
It's Mickey against the world, and KC are happy to put him in his place as they march down the mid lane. And KC with the ace have just done it.
Impatience around the Nexus was almost their downfall. Patience at the Baron is what will keep them in this series. KC are not done yet.
My God, what a series we have here. Such close games, back to back to back. And you can see how both teams are fighting so damn hard.
It's League of Legends. It's what I love. Fnatic versus KC here in the Kaya Magica with everything on the line for both these teams, where a loss in this series would be a disappointing year. Not just a split, not just like a disappointing series. It is the termination of a year of growth for a team, a year of a project for both these teams, and neither team is willing to give it up.
When winter went so well for KC, when first stand, they made it the distance all the way to finals. To be denied that chance at Worlds would be heartbreak for both the fans and the team. But now they've got to keep this up. This is just the first step, and Fnatic have got more in the tank. And you're up against a Fnatic who have not missed 8 straight Worlds.
We're going to hand it over to the AD to break down that series, that game, and
the series
what
too.
Game 4 gives us, because I'm looking forward to it.
The Ivor now locked in. I think it's such a hard Poppy game for Razork. He's one of the best Poppy players in our league, but finding champions in this game and not just getting one shot in a team fight if you go in, is kind of into game number 4.
Has not lost a game on the Poppy this year, has only played 2. 100% win rate there for Razzle. Let's jump on to it's game 4 or die for KC. Their world's lives on the line, their spot in the LEC for the rest of this year on the line. For Fnatic, you got 2 games. You are very close. You're very close to losing 2 games in a row.
Don't say it like that.
Down to, hey, like, this is Fnatic we're talking about.
This is Fnatic we're talking about, that's true.
They've been 7 years in the desert. They have been praying for mana from heaven. And yes, they make worlds every time, but the first 2 games of this series were so damn convincing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Fnatic faithful out there that are saying, hey, like,
we can win this thing.
We can win. We can beat MCoy with G2 is next up.
Yeah.
If you lose now, it
suddenly
then
all that
begins to
enthusiasm.
swing.
Yeah.
And you remember the years after years after years of being so close, but not quite close enough.
And we're so close to maybe getting Poby versus Faker. We're so close. 1 game for the Fnatic folks, but can they do it here? Or can KC continue that march on the reverse sweep.
That's very true, Rob. And I also want to just take stock of the two drafts here, because for me, I really like a lot of what both teams have constructed. I think for the top side, in Oscar, you have this lane matchup that you can look to bully, you can look to dash forward, and Gwen can get a lead. And for the same in the bot side, with this range support into the Rakan, you can look to bully that as well. The only worry I have as the game progresses later and later on, I feel like you get into a similar situation as last game, where if KC just group up as 5, it's so hard for Fnatic to find any angle to actually go onto them, and it's so easy for KC to just run them down and steamroll the game.
Especially in a game where you can go double redemption pretty easily. Like, if you're not killing people quickly in that fight, double redemption at Dawn Core as well for the Ivern eventually is just going to make it so hard to actually kill anyone off. I don't see anyone of Fnatic that has an easy Serpent's Fang route. I don't see anyone that can get that shield cut, and when you have an Ivern there, it's going to be really tricky later on in the game. He'll use good handshake out of Mickey to pull him back.
Yeah, great early laning by Fnatic thus far. Already getting a bit of a CS lead and damage lead in the bot lane. Kind of expected for how this matchup should play out. The thing with Ivern is that his first clear is so fast, so even though Razork would love to try to punish enemy jungler with these winning lanes, never really going to be able to do it. As you see, Ivern's already cleared all of his camps at 2:46.
Yeah, that's absurdly fast. Like, Yike already walking in, he has 30 seconds to spare, will be spotted on a ward, can go back, come back out, and still be in time for the Scuttle Crab, which is not something you see from too many junglers. Poby there, using that twofold hex really effectively onto Vlad. He continues to chip away at him. It's the passive of Aurora that does a huge amount of the damage, and they did nerf the max HP damage out of it, but they gave her some compensation buffs in just the AP scaling.
Yeah, especially when you compare it with the Electrocute, it just makes it so difficult to try and play into her, and you've got that nice little bit of a range advantage over Vladdy too, so with Poby having that control over mid, even forcing the reset from Vladdy, means that Razork should be able to control this Scuttle Crab on the bottom side, with Mickey even coming across to help.
And I want to give some credits to Poby, because for me, the signing of him was a little bit random.
Questionable.
Like, I understood that humanoid, everything, it wasn't really working out, but I didn't think Poby was the answer. But thus far, he's had really good laning phases across the board. He was a little bit disjointed at first, but now Oscar
flashes away from the Infernal Chains. Karna's going to have to flash as well. Oscar looking to the skip and
No way.
Another auto. Karna, though.
Oh my God.
Oscar, what has this man been eating?
Oscar finds the solo kill, is now Upset's in trouble.
She has to cleanse away from it. Root Caller from Yike is blocked by Mickey. Upset will expend his cleanse. They use the heal alongside it, but the Fnatic bot lane will survive the fight.
Oscarini, no puedo creer. I don't know what he's doing right now. It's incredible, this glow up he's having in Madrid. It feels like a different player we're watching. He's so aggressive, flashes in so early as Mickey looks for the cancel here.
Beautiful stun for Mickey, but he does need to get out of here, has to flash in the end. Like, you could understand it, doesn't want the enemy bot lane to reset. It was a great handshake, but banning your flash, not the best into a Rakan lane.
Yeah, definitely as you start to move on as well, and Yike can try and move in towards this bottom side. There is so much CC on this bottom half of the map. At least he does have the spell book, so maybe able to swap into something that can help him out, but I think Yike just found a new target on the map.
Yeah, overall the lead in the spot lane kind of disappeared from this gank and from this pressure that the Yike put onto Fnatic, which is a bit of a shame when you're playing this range matchup into the Rakan. You'd really like to bully out in the early game, but overall it's not the end of the world. You're still playing a very high scaling ADC in the form of Yunara, so you're still chilling.
Yeah, you'll be okay with this, as you say, like you do lose a little bit. Oh,
Oscar is 6.
Level 6 coming out, but Yike is waiting around the corner to try and help defend. It's on enough! Oh, he's just dead already! What is this? What is happening?
I can't believe it.
It's absurd! Like, what has he been eating? How long did he sleep? What anime is he watching? Like, anyone who is coaching Fnatic right now, write everything down you can. Because Oscar is taking this game into his own hands.
But it's against Karna. Karna has been so good for KC this entire year. And Oscar is just putting him in the dirt over and over. And may just be the focal point now for Fnatic to get that wage into KC.
And the thing is, it's not just the 2 solo kills. He has a 20 CS lead as well. Nearly a 1k gold lead at 6 minutes. This is like unheard of.
The Academy Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role goes to Oscar, it seems, as He continues to dominate the top lane, and those are words that I thought would not be spoken today. For Fnatic, the question is, can you use this domination to continue the wins in this series? Oscar enforcing Karna back. Yike having to spend much more time around the top lane than perhaps he expected. Razork is here. There's no vision for Karna. No flash for him either. The World Ender's world is perhaps about to collapse. You die under tower here. It is just doomed. No escape. He brings out the wings, but he needs an angel to save him. Starts to dash away. Razork still looking for the chase. Gets slow with a hammer shock. Keeps on going and snip. He slices him in half.
The lifeblood of KC has been left all over the top side of the map. Yike will get a dragon as a consolation prize. But this Gwen is about to take over the game.
With that, Fnatic might have just cut KC's chances at Worlds with this astonishing Gwen performance from Oscar, as he's now getting a double the CS of Kana. He's gotten 2 plates, and yes, KC get the Drake, but it's not enough to stop the bleeding.
Oh, Kalist flashing forward. You can see KC think they need to do something. Targamas looking for it as well, but now Kalist has no flash, will have the Featherstorm in his back pocket to try and escape the clutches of Fnatic. And I think the question now is, if you're Razork, do you say, okay, Oscar, your lane is won, I can go other places, or do you just keep harassing, getting Karna into such a deep hole that no ladder can bring him out of it?
Well, with Boygrub's up there, I think your best bet is to stick around for the moment and just try and get all 3. Oscar didn't have to use his ultimate in that last fight, so if you even peek your nose in here as Yike, it's going to get snipped off immediately. And from Fnatic then, as you say, you just start to lean all that pressure elsewhere. Oscar has so much control over this top half, and now Upset taking the fight against Kalist.
Kalist has to have the heal used there by Targamas. The chase will continue. Good play, caller back. Will get the route onto Upset. Grub's going over to Fnatic, and you know who's very happy about that? A Gwen in the top lane who has total control over her matchup. Those plates, oh, he's eating them for dinner, I'm going to be honest, and I don't think Ceramic tastes that good, but Oscar will be happy with the goal it gives him.
I mean, this game and this series in general just makes me so excited to see what Fnatic can both do. Like, if they win this and further into Worlds, like the Fnatic that has players and a game plan where they can play around all 3 players, not just around Upset and Mickey. It's really a roster and a potential that feels like 3-fold what we saw before.
And you can see KC. It's like, what can we do?
Yeah.
Call the fire brigade, call the police, call anyone you can. Realm warp in. Oscar's just going to start to walk away, so has the flash, will burn it, dodges the root caller with the hallowed mist. And then he emotes on them.
And that was 2 flashes. That was Vladdy and Yike, and they both flashed. And all they see is Gwen dancing on them.
And the loser of this is Kalist. Look at him on that bottom side, running for the tier 2, knowing Fnatic are going to look for the counterpunch. And it's now bleeding over from the top lane towards Upset in that bottom half of the map as his own gold lead starts to spike.
Yeah, for KC, you are finding any port in any storm right now. The CS you get is the prize you can have. As the keeper's welcome back. Razork doesn't need to spend time around top, so instead he will make Kalist and Targamas' day a living nightmare. This is the sort of start Fnatic want. This is what they had in Game 2. Game 1 was KC favored until around the 15-minute mark, but when Fnatic have garnered a lead like this in this series, they have not taken their hands off the necks of KC.
I'm astonished. I don't know, like I'm speechless. I just didn't think that. I didn't think Fnatic was going to win, and even if they did win, I never imagined it.
It's not done yet.
It's not
That's
done
all
yet.
we can say. It is a massive lead, almost a full level for Oscarinin, and 2,000 gold at 10 minutes. This guy has been collecting everything he can find, but There are still avenues back for KC. They do still have good team fighting. It's still hard to get on the rise, to get on the Xayah because of their self-defense tools.
Yeah, but I think that's where you kind of have to try and use Vladdy with this ultimate and again continue to overforce him aside. But the engage is there.
Charm coming out as well. Hostile takeover only going to hit onto Targamas as they're all able to dodge away. Upset transcending here. Looking for the damage back onto Kalista in the end. It would just be an exchange of ultimates and the cleanse. Razzle going back up towards the top lane. Kana has 3 minions. Yike is here though. Perhaps the 2v2 might be enough for KC, but Razzle's not going to let Yike have it. Slams him into the wall. Yike should be able to defend Kana here as there's only 2 minions left. And the wave will be pushed back. Razzle just keeping Yike here for now. Vladdy's starting to move from mid, but doesn't have Realm Warp right now.
It's so close to being up, but even just that pressure, I think should be Fnatic needing to get out. Actually, he ends up cancelling it as Bobby goes to follow. But at least KC will keep Kana alive for the moment.
Yeah, I think that mid-prow there from Vladdy was crucial, because if you swap that around, if Poby can move up first, that's an easy dive for Fnatic with how much damage they have on Oscarinin. But with Vladdy being able to play the safeguard a little bit, help his team out there, it at least stops that bleeding.
And that feels like it has to be the story now for KC. It has to be Vladdy getting access to these side lanes, working with people to just try and stem the bleeding, try and keep KC within arm's length. And I don't think it's upside. Honestly, I think if 2 people show up there, maybe Oscarinen's time to shine. So for KC, I think it's putting resources into Kalista in this bottom side, trying to punish Upset while he doesn't have that cleanse available.
Speechless is not a place I find myself often. We are paid to talk, but the power that Oscar's had through this early game as Razor's caught just a little bit. Targamas and Yike looking for this trade. Will be a 3v3 fight. Razor already down to half HP. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Oscarinin continues to wail away on that tower. About a 2k gold lead overall for him. It has slowed down. It is harder for Oscar to take those final couple of plates, but they're about to start to fall off in a minute's time, and then the tower surely will be forfeit for this early game. Kana struggling. Kana with a Hex Drinker first into a Gwen.
And this was... They chose to blind pick him this Aatrox.
And Razzle goes in Kalista immediately with the cleanse quickness coming out as well from Targamas as he tries to get away. With knocked up with the steadfast presence with redemption enough to heal him up. Targamas able to dance away. Still gets slowed by Upset there, but will be able to escape.
But it's Dragon for Fnatic. They got the control they needed. They can still push in on bot side. And
I mean, Targamas does have TP, so they could look to TP back and contest this.
I mean, this could be good for KC. Kalista still has the Feather Storm. Upset's used that transcend oneself. His ultimate has been invested.
Upset is stuck
Vladdy has Realm Warp, as you say. Upset unable to join the fight right now. Vladdy's going to separate Poby from the rest of his team. Keeper's Verdict gets rid of Vladdy. Targamas going back in, but the steadfast presence will stop him from dashing to anyone with a good handshake. Pulls him back. The hostile takeover has to be dodged with the Feather Storm out of Kalista. Poby's still on the chase. He pulls in the twofold Hex, and it's 5-0 Fnatic.
And Fnatic just keep finding every opportunity as they punish KC, getting 2 free kills, and it just feels so dire for them. It feels so hard, so heavy.
KC just looked lost, and Fnatic are happy to show them the way towards the door.
Kana's dead, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, you got the okay. You got the
Redemption.
Redemption out. He might try and trade back into Oscarinin, who doesn't have mana. Flash forward. Vladdy's coming in. Does have a flash of his own, but they're back away. They can't do anything to Oscarinin.
But KC are throwing everything in any direction they can and hoping that it sticks. But they're just not getting it. And Fnatic, they get the play on towards the bottom side. They get Oscarinin into a lead. All of the the early Void Grubs have gone. That Dragon has gone the way of Fnatic as well. Like, how do you try and fight back as KC?
It's so difficult, and this Herald is going to go the way for Fnatic as well. It really feels like you need to utilize this Rise, get a crazy numbers advantage, get a good engage, something along the lines of that. Otherwise, it's too difficult.
And now, as you say, you get the Rift Tower to try and make plays around mid. Oscarinin gets the reset and nearly has a second item already completed at 15 minutes into the game. And as soon as he plonks himself into a side lane, that is just going to escalate even further. And late game Gwen is just such a menace, even with the nerfs that came through a while ago. She just feels unstoppable.
Yeah, the thing is, normally you'd be like, oh, if enemy top has such a big lead, he will get outscaled or something, right? If he played an early game chat. No, he's playing like probably the best scaling top laner in the game. it's really dire for KC, and they need to be the magicians this game and find some magic. And they haven't shown that capability thus far in this series.
Really haven't. Karna still looking here. TP coming in by Vladdy. They want this bounty. 325 extra gold on Oscar in his head. There's the Rune Prison. Needlework coming out from Oscar in as he tries to survive. Redemption as well. Used by KC. The quickness. He dodges it. He dodges it. Still gets charmed in the end. He will be shut down. Vladdy's rise claims the prize of Oscar's life. But meanwhile, on the bot side, the Rift Herald charges in. It's a tier 2 for Oscar for Fnatic.
And there's pressure in the mid lane as well. They do need to back off, as you can see. They're trying to get the pressure on towards Fnatic themselves. Upset just trying to make sure that he can connect on towards the waves. Will be able to clear it out. But a tier 2 already for Fnatic.
But KC were able to find the magic that they needed. At least they got one side of pressure now. They had to drop the tier 2 for it, but now Mickey looking for Yike.
Lands a handshake, pulls him back, slammed into the wall. Yike, no! Trigger Seed will save you. Upset dashing across the wall as Targamas lands the grand entrance. Good double knockup coming out. In the end, Targamas will be able to battle dance his way away.
And you can see the confidence on Mickey. He has the spellbook cleanse and he's just walking forward alongside Razork. You can see they're taking every bush. They're taking all the space in K-Corp's jungle, and no place is K-Corp's own.
And we've gone from it being a 2,000 gold lead to Oscar, everywhere else relatively even, to almost 1,000 in every lane apart from support. Fnatic have translated the pressure that Oscar was able to singularly manufacture and now have put it across the entire map.
And it's because KC knew they had to try and shut him down, but by putting so much investment in towards Oscarinen, Razork got to play elsewhere. Now they, with that tier 2 down in the bottom lane, they can continue to push that wave super deep on the bottom side, lean in that pressure into the bottom jungle, and put pressure onto the mid turret, and Fnatic can look to snowball so effectively now. And with 50 seconds until this next dragon, I'm pretty sure Oscarinen has the second item completed and can just take over this fight.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine KC taking any fight right now and being able to win it. They really need to continue trying to utilize this rise for split push, but you can see as soon as Fnatic start to send out some numbers, Vladdy immediately needs to ulti away. And now without that Realm Warp, it's so difficult to actually try to pressure aside or give Kana any sort of relief. You really need multiple miracles, to be honest, to be able to win a game like this. And maybe they can do it.
Fnatic have already found their miracle.
Yeah.
Their miracle in Madrid, presented to them by the Catalonian Oscarinen. The Drake is up in 10 seconds time. And I think Fnatic should just be able to close this Dragon take out pretty easily. Its Hex Soul for them would be so powerful on a Yunara, on a Gwen. They'll be really happy if they can get that. But KC getting that early Dragon will delay Fnatic's plans and securing the early 4. Meanwhile, you can see Vladdy, Yike, and Targamas all setting up towards that top side, trying to get any vision in they can. We talk about doing something on the opposite side of the map, finding something for yourselves. They are doing that. They got a little bit of vision in. Oscarinen clears it away.
Oh, Oscar no W here, but he's so strong and so high level that even though KC will be able to get this top tower here most likely and get that objective bounty.
And it's good for KC.
Yeah.
They got as much as they could out of that trade in my estimations, at least. Assuming they take the tower down, they'll get a bounty for it. They don't quite get the tower, but it does fall in the end to the minions. Needlework out from Oscarinen, look for the slow. And the gold lead shrinks to about 4K. Hobie on the flank, Razork here too, and KC is 3v5, and Fnatic have come alive. 8-1 now. They once again regain that gold lead of 5K.
And KC found the tower, but they lost it all for it as 2 members end up going down, and Fnatic do not let anyone go unpunished. If you try to take an objective from them, they will catch.
Such a good play from Fnatic. The collapse was already there since they pushed in mid, and Upset has started to move across. And Hobie getting across thanks to that Hextech gate, gets the perfect cutoff point. And Fnatic just run them down. There is nothing that KC can do. It is into the meat grinder, and Fnatic are making bank off the back.
It's Razork's willingness just to flash in as well. They know that if they're all there, they just win the fight. Arakan begun. We've seen games thrown around this as the TP comes in from Oscarinen, and he will join the fight. 2 items, upgraded boots. KC If you can steal this, perhaps it keeps you in the game as Targamas and Yike will begin to step forward. Oscarinin does the same. Realm Warp coming out just to distract Fnatic. The Alakan down to 1,000. Oscarinin caught out, but the hostile takeover will save his life. Kana now on the wrong side of the wall. Dumped back in with the flash handshake back. He's going to heal up with that Thunder Sky. He's going to have to use the cleanse. Oscarinin able to dash away. Meanwhile, Mickey sacrifices himself for the good of the team.
It looked a little dicey, but Fnatic, they managed to escape. They end up forcing the Otacon, but KC finding these small moments and Poby not really in a position gave KC at least the chance to get a pick, but Fnatic get away with the Otacon.
A root caller out from Yike. He's going to get chased down by Razork here. But the rest of KC are beginning to collapse. The red buff maybe needs to be forfeited here by Razork. Don't need to go for that root caller out from Yike. They'll steal away the red. Oscarinin escapes, has his flash back up. So even if he was caught in a precarious spot, would have been able to extricate.
Really see in this fight the power of KC's comp. Oscar goes a little bit too deep, which ends up costing him dearly. And you see that if KC can kite back, their carries are still very strong with this Ryze and Syad, with the Ivern healing and shielding the Aatrox. Barely not able to get Razork, but still, it's all of Fnatic that have to kite back and run away. And at that point, KC's comp is super good at continuing to push forward.
Yeah, just a little bit greedy all round from Fnatic. I think Oscarinin trying to make space, but you're making space into a very small gap, and hostile takeover only secures that gap for a small amount of time. As soon as that's down and it's dodged by Kalist and Vladdy just walks, like, accepts that he's going to auto-attack a couple of times, then the re-engage from Fnatic's really hard to, from KC is really hard to get yourself out of.
I agree, but Fnatic got the objective, right?
Oh,
they did get Otacon. There's now Dragon in 2 minutes time. You're starting to see like so many huge items completed for this Fnatic side as well. And even though KC's found their moment, I think it's kind of few and far between as Targamas, or maybe on the bottom side, might be the focus.
I think they're looking for Vladdy instead. Doesn't have the flash and has no tower.
He's dead.
Safety. Realm Warp out. Mickey's going to flash. Misses the handshake. Good Realm Warp out by Vladdy. Gets himself out of a very sticky spot.
And I want to add on to what you said, Rob. It's very nice that Fnatic got the Otacon, but at the same time, the gold lead was all the way up at 6K and has already now halved to 3K. So it's been a great comeback for KC thus far. And if you choose, like if I have to choose, if I'm 6K down to drop an Otacon to get 3K back, I mean, I'll take that every day.
I very much agree with you. I think it's a question that began to ring in my mind a little bit with the Ambessa game, which is how good are Fnatic at playing through a fed Oscarinin. And they were pretty good in that game, like it ended up working for them, but here, like Oscarinin is the key advantage. Poby was a team, Kalist, that's a lot of damage. Weirden coming out, between worlds goes Poby, but they just don't quite have it. Trick-or-Seed as well used on Kalist alongside the Redemption just to top him up. KC collapsing in this board to make sure that their AD carry stays safe.
Still getting a lot of control on this topside jungle, and that's where Oscarinin is going to be putting the pressure with the Aatrox. If they can continue to lend that pressure to the Oscarinin, well, that's your answer, right? They're able to get him access to towers to do what he needs to do. But at the moment, Fnatic are struggling to try and play from Oscarinin to mid and get this mid lane turret down.
I think it's much harder this game because you don't have the same triggers that they had in game 1, where it was really easy for them to start a fight at will. But you see here, even when Poby gets onto Kalist, there's so much healing and shielding that he has to get through, and so little CC on Fnatic's side that it's really hard for them to actually be the ones to start a fight. As they look onto Yike here,
they look at the damage onto Yike. Don't really want to step past Targamas and Kalist with Vladdy collapsing. Side against it. Fnatic do have prio on that mid lane wave though, so they can try and take the tower if they want. Second Dragon of the game for KC if they take this, but they are going to get slowed up by that Hex Drake. Be a little bit tricky to work around it. Oscarinin looking for the engage, kind of trying to keep them at bay. Keeper's Verdict coming out, only knocks Dato goes through.
Oh my god.
Gets a triple knockback. They just yeet it away and steal it out of KC's hand. Beautiful by Razork.
It's a home run for Razork as he knocks away so many members of KC. They don't quite get the mid tower, but he'd be happy to get a few of his mates home.
And Razork did that while it was 4v5. Upset was just silently hitting this mid tower, bringing it all the way from nearly full HP to nearly dead now. And they get the third Drake, only one away from Soul.
And the thing about that is, it pulls KC to a dragon fight. And if you say, okay, Oscar, push top, we're going to start to set up around the Drake. KC have to be there, because you cannot give away Hex Soul into Yunara, into Aurora. It's so difficult for you in those fights. And so now Fnatic have a slew of options before them. Do we just want to go for a tier 2? Do we want to go for a tier 3? Can we keep Fnatic around the fight? Will a Keeper's Verdict change how that outlook looks? Still only well, I say only, still a 4,000 gold lead for Fnatic, but it has shrunk from the gargantuan advantage they had earlier on in this game.
Yeah, and it's important to note that as the game gets longer and longer, a gold lead kind of shrinks naturally as everybody gets more gold and the relative difference is smaller. But I want to say that I think I really agree with you. The onus now is on Fnatic. They have the potential to kind of checkmate KC if they play their lane assignments right now, if they play their pressure right. And KC kind of know it. So what they want to do is they want to fight immediately, looking for the Realm Warp.
Obi going away. Vladdy couldn't quite get the Flash Rune Prison. Got the spell flux off, but Aurora enough mobility in her kit to escape.
Yeah, KC needed to try and send something. Mickey might be caught here, though.
He's definitely caught. Puts the exhaust down onto Kana, who pops the world end. The Redemption's going to heal him up a ton. The hostile takeover lands onto 2, including Kalist, and Kana has to back away because of it. All the while, Oscar in and continues to push in bots.
And that's all the Fnatic really want here, is to buy that space. KC either over-index into bot and they get the mid tower, or Oscar just takes the inhibitor in their faces.
And that's the checkmate that we're seeing here. KC are left with only bad options as they try to look for plays, but they can't find them. And they just keep getting pushed in on sides and keep being drowned in the pressure of Oscarinen.
And now he's 2,500 gold ahead, taking that tier 3. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, that tower likely to fall just to the minion wave. Gold extends for Fnatic above that 5k mark. Drake 2.5 minutes away. Soul point already for Fnatic would be sold for them if they can get it. The Baron, the key target now. You have to feel Mickey trying to set up vision around it. It's a little tricky as Renata. You're nowhere near as tanky as an Alistar. You don't have the mobility of something like a Rakan, so you have to be a bit cautious when you step up on your own.
All the Fnatic want to do, though, is just buy that space for Oscar, and it's level 16 to just barely hitting level 15 for Kana. And now there is no real safe home, and you can see Kana trying to move away from the bush that Oscarinen's hiding in. Oscarinen knows if he can get that solo kill, that opens up Baron or it opens up a Nexus turret.
You can see Oscarinen continuing to push in bot now. Just Kana has to just watch him push the wave, even with Kalist hovering slightly. It's just so difficult for him.
Oscar would like a little bit more vision around that blue side if he can get it. There's a couple of wards there for him, but it's easy enough for KC to make tracks towards him without being seen. And if you can get vision on the top side, then that also alleviates that problem, because you know that KC are in their topside jungle. But at the moment, Fnatic don't have the deep vision you really need to push an inhibitor solo lane.
Especially when you've got the Realm Warp from Vladdy as well. Like, if Vladdy shows up on that bottom side and then can Realm Warp whoever his cohort is up towards the Baron again. Plus, Targamas has TP, Vladdy's TP, Kana has TP, so you have enough members there that can make a play and still control the rest of the map.
Interesting to see Yike going for the Medjais here instead of parts of the Dawn Core.
Wow.
I think he knows the next fight they need to win, and if they do win it, he needs the bonus stats from the Medjais to really help carry them through the rest of the game. We have a minute on the Drake. Baron still available to these two teams.
I mean, buying Medjais when you're behind like this is very smart for the reason that you said, that it just allows you to have that exponential comeback gain if you're able to do so. And if they lose the fight, I mean, Soul, it's very difficult.
For KC, if they lose this next fight, I think it's just done. For Fnatic, if they lose it, they can take a step, regroup, come back in 5 minutes and play around the next Drake. If they lose that fight, then things really begin to sway in KC's favor.
I think scaling-wise, still definitely I favor KC quite a bit as this Rise and Sai are continuing to get stronger. Ivern is continuing to do a lot more. And Gwen, while she is incredibly strong, her teammates, I think Poppy and Aurora will really not have the damage to deal with this shielding and healing that Ivern is providing.
But Fnatic have bought the time they need. Oscarinen continues to pushing in. Dragon now spawned. It's the Soul, and they're batters up,
verdict.
and they're gone.
Yeah, only onto Targamas though. Poby still backing in the top side. Drake begun by Fnatic. Razork
They can finish it.
With Daisy, Poby has the death cap, and he's TPing into the mid lane. As you say, they can try and finish this quickly, and they'll get it. Hexo now, Aurora on the flank. Flash in from Razork. Hostile takeover coming out as well with Vladdy. He's in the midst of the enemy team, and he doesn't have a way out at all. Vladdy's gonna fall. Yike follows suit. Kana next up. Stick from Oscar in, and he's Oscar winning this game.
And Fnatic is better. Fnatic is Star and Worlds.
Somehow, some way, this Fnatic has shown up today, and KC have been stunned. The LEC has been shocked, and it has been rocked.
No defense left for KC. The Fnatic faithful rewarded. Oscar Munoz Jimenez, remember the name. Fnatic tomorrow they'll fight Enkoi.
No puedo creer. It's unbelievable, unbelievable what we've witnessed today. What a series from
Fnatic as a whole.
Yeah.
Patient, aggressive in the early stages. Everything felt calculated. And even when KC were trying to find some crack in the armor, there was just nothing there. This felt like a different Fnatic.
But what a tragic loss for K-Corp. They're showing such great promise with Kalista and Vladdy, not even making it to Worlds. It feels tragic for them.
It really does. You can vote for one of the Fnatic players, though, in your Kia Player of the Series vote. No, you can't. You can vote for Oscar Bennett.